Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. I am invincible after awakening the Superman gene. Chapter 1. In summer, the afternoon sun is very bright. Chin-mo walked towards the office building after eating in the cafeteria. Today's lunch is quite hearty. Kung Pao chicken and stir-fried vegetables are the daily accompaniment. He also ate a small piece of spicy grilled fish as an extra. The grilled fish tastes good, but it has a lot of small thorns. It's a waste of time to eat. So today's mealtime is extraordinarily long, and I came back later. When Chin-mo walked into the office of the 7th group of the security department, the clock hanging on the wall had just reached 2 o'clock, and there was still half an hour before the official work in the afternoon. He was going to use this time to take a nap at noon. After all, it was always necessary to take time during the day to supplement sleep in the hot summer. It's a pity that the sky failed to fulfill his wish, and before he could take 2 steps, a voice suddenly sounded in his ear. In 1 hour, I need the criminal records of Changping Street for the past 3 years. Chin-mo, go and sort them out. The person who spoke was a thin young man who looked to be in his early 20s, about the same age as Chin-mo. He was sitting in front of the spacious workstation, looking at the file in his hand, without raising his head. Chin-mo stopped and twitched his lips. Changping Street is not big and there are not many residents, but there are hundreds of criminal records in the past 3 years. It is not easy to sort it out. It takes at least half an hour. What's more, it will be in an hour. He must start to do it now to make it in time. The person in front of him is Li Changfeng, who entered the security office at the same time as Chin-mo a year ago. Both of them are members of the team, and they are regarded as equals. Logically speaking, Li Changfeng is not qualified to assign Chin-mo's work content, not to mention that it is not yet the official working time. But who let others be awakened? Well, the lunch break plan is a mess. You know, in this world, the status of the awakened is quite high. Since thousands of years ago, human genes mutated and awakened people with various powerful powers appeared, the pattern of the times has changed. Because the powerful awakened ones can resist missiles with their bodies and face tens of thousands of people with their own strength, they quickly gained a dominant position in the world, comparable to practitioners in the world of cultivating immortals. To this day, even the most basic level F awakened person has far surpassed ordinary people in status. Chin-mo is not an awakened person. He was not genetically awakened before the age of 15, so he lost the qualification for awakening, so he was at the bottom of the security department. The security office is affiliated to the Dakan Security Bureau, and is mainly responsible for the security management of the Dakan Imperial Capital and its surrounding areas. It is a real official awakened structure. But because the number of awakened people is very small, in the huge population base, there may not be 1 in 1,000 people, so the Security Bureau will also recruit ordinary people to assist in the work. And these people's congresses are also graduates from military academies, and they are among the best among ordinary people. There are very few exceptions like Chin-mo. He is 23 years old this year, and he just graduated from the Imperial Higher Education Institute last year. He grew up in a single-parent family. When he was 3 years old, his mother died of illness, and his father raised him alone. Chin-mo's father was actually an F-level awakened person who had been working in the security department, but just before his graduation, he died in an arrest mission. As a result, Chin-mo became an orphan, but fortunately, he was a man in 2 lifetimes, a traveler with a strong heart, and he was not overly immersed in sadness. According to the Dakan death compensation regulations, in special cases like Chin-mo, the security office will relax the requirements, and he can choose to inherit his father's business. Of course Chin-mo would not refuse stupidly, he resolutely chose to enter the security office. Just kidding, if you get into the security bureau, you will have an iron rice bowl. The imperial capital is the center of Dakan, with a population of over 10 million. How severe is the employment situation and how much pressure is there? How could he not know the importance of an iron rice bowl? After taking the USB flash drive from Li Changfeng, Chin-mo crossed several desks, walked to a seat by the window in the corner, and sat down. He turned on the computer in front of him, entered the office system and entered his account password. Quick pop. He adjusted the 300 degrees myopia glasses on the bridge of his nose, and began to summarize according to Li Changfeng's request. Tidying up work has always been tedious and boring. Chin Mo's attention quickly focused on his eyes, and an illusory panel that only he could see slowly emerged. Vision, 0. Hearing, 0. Intelligence, 0. Breathing, 0. Strength, 0. Speed, 0. Recovery, 0. Defense, 0. Light energy points, accumulating. The content of the awakening panel looks a lot at first glance, but except for the last light energy point which shows that it is accumulating, everything else is 0. Chin Mo only saw this thing last night. At first, the light energy point column was also 0. It wasn't until he went out to work this morning and the first ray of sunlight hit him that it changed from 0 to accumulating. From then on, Chin Mo finally believed in the authenticity of the awakening panel. According to the introduction of the panel, it is a superhuman gene panel, and it only needs to absorb solar energy to obtain freely distributable light energy points. With the sun as the energy source, this is obviously the Superman of Krypton. Chin Mo watched a lot of Superman movies in his previous life. He is no stranger to this. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes, jump over a 100-meter building with ease, freeze people into ice cubes directly by blowing his breath, move the earth with power, and his speed exceeds the speed of light, and he can also fly physically in space. Superman is almost invincible, or invincible in all directions, a proper hexagonal warrior, without any shortcomings. After awakening the Superman gene, his future path can be said to be completely widened. Unexpectedly, at the age of 23, he has also become an awakened person. The world is really changing. I don't know how long it will take to accumulate light energy. Chin Mo thought to himself, turning his head to look at the big sun outside the glass. The office building of the Security Bureau has 9 floors, and the 7th group of the Security Department where he is located is on the 3rd floor. It is located on the sunny side, and there is plenty of sunlight every day. Chin Mo's position is an excellent position, which is most suitable for him to absorb the energy of the sun. After being in a daze for a while, he turned around and started to continue working. Before 3 o'clock, he got stuck and sorted out the records, and sent them to Li Changfeng. Here is the criminal record of the past 3 years in Changping Street that you want. Chin Mo put the USB flash drive on the table. Li Changfeng still didn't lift his head, but just hummed lightly from his nasal cavity. I can really pretend, but this is the attitude of the awakened ones towards ordinary people. They are superior and don't care. Chin Mo has been used to it for a year. He didn't say anything, and went straight back to his workstation to bask in the sun, enjoying the afternoon fishing time, and the colleagues next to him were also fishing. The work of the security department is still very easy, 9 to 5, weekends and weekends. If you ignore the danger of falling out of the task, then this is very suitable for the elderly. Chin Mo took a sip of water and looked at the small room in front of him, which was the office of the group leader of the 7th group. There are 10 people in 7 groups, the leader is an E-level awakener, 5 of the 9 team members are F-level awakeners, and the rest are ordinary people. Like Li Changfeng and the others, although they don't have their own small office, the workstations are very large and the location is good, where they are protected from the wind and the sun. As for ordinary people like Chin Mo, they can only suffer by the window. Although they are in the same group, the status class is quite obvious. This is an invisible rule. However, it is precisely because of this that Chin Mo can absorb such sufficient solar energy. The time of fishing always passed quickly, and in the afternoon, except for some things arranged by Li Changfeng, the rest of the time was idle. He browsed online and consulted, and the border front of Dakin was still at war with Qi, and there seemed to be no sign of a ceasefire in a short time. Just like that until the off-duty time at 5 o'clock, the sun has also reached the horizon, the sun is no longer harsh, and there is only a faint afterglow. A warm current flowed through Chin Mo's body suddenly. He lifted his spirits, opened the Superman awakening panel again, and immediately noticed the change. Light energy points, 8 freely assignable. There are so many, and it can be distributed freely. Or, let's add vision first. Chin Mo thought about it for a while, and then made a choice. Superman's eyes can emit high-temperature rays that melt everything, which will be a very powerful attack method in the future. He tentatively added 4 points, but didn't use up all of them. Vision, 4. Light energy point, 4 inches. The awakening panel changed, and a more powerful heat flow quickly gathered in his eyes, and then disappeared quickly. Chin-mo suddenly felt a blur in front of him. He was slightly taken aback, and then slowly took off the pair of 300-degree myopia glasses on the bridge of his nose. The scene in front of him suddenly opened up, as if the door to a new world had been reopened. Myopia for several years is gone. When he walked out of the security bureau building, Chin-mo directly threw the pair of myopia glasses he had worn for 2 years into the roadside trash can. Sorry, he doesn't need this anymore. Moreover, if more light energy points are added to the vision in the future, there will be even more terrifying changes. There are still 4 light energy points that can be allocated. Chin-mo is going to wait until he gets home, and then think about how to use it. It is obviously not a wise choice to have full vision. It would be better to have a balanced development in all directions. Anyway, Superman has no weaknesses. His family lived in Gwanghong Street, Baiyun District, the capital of the Great Qin Empire, where his father left him a house of less than 100 square meters, which was not long lived and considered new. Chin-mo walked for about 5 minutes, and when he arrived at the bus stop, he just caught up with a bus, so he hurried on. The seats in the car were already full, and Chin-mo's evening rush hour had already begun, so Chin-mo had no choice but to stand in the crowd, holding on to the handrail. Fortunately, Gwanghong Street is less than 10 miles away from the security bureau. Chin-mo got out of the car quickly, and walked for 2 or 3 minutes before he arrived home. Opened the anti-theft door with the key. It was dark inside. Chin-mo was about to turn on the light, but he suddenly stopped and let out a light snort. He was surprised to find that this addition was not as simple as curing his myopia, but that he still had extremely weak night vision. Chin-mo closed the door, and the room was completely plunged into darkness. He usually draws the curtains when he is at work to prevent blind thieves from sneaking in. There is a sofa in the living room, facing the TV that has not been turned on for a long time. There is a coffee table in the middle, and a few stools. Chin-mo saw all this clearly in the dark. Although it was just an outline and his vision was extremely weak, it already surprised Chin-mo very much. You know, this is just adding 4 points. As expected of a Superman awakening panel. Chin-mo was excited. After the experiment, he turned on the light, then lay down on the sofa, focused his eyes, and began to study the remaining light energy points. The changes in eyesight before and after adding dots made him more and more aware that how to distribute the light energy points reasonably is very important. Then you must add a little intelligence first. When Chin-mo thought about it for a moment, his intelligence immediately +1, and the familiar warmth quickly poured into his brain. He suddenly felt that his thinking was much clearer, and his mind seemed to become brighter visible to the naked eye. There are still 3 light energy points left, but there are a total of 8 attributes that can be increased: strength, speed, and defense. These 3 must be the first choice. Strength is the means of attack, while the latter 2 are life-saving. Awakened people will also encounter danger. It does not mean that genetic awakening can be done once and for all. The sacrifice of his father Chin Hao is a lesson from the past, a bloody lesson. An F-level awakener is only the most basic level, and there are 6 levels above it, from F to A, and S after a level. S-class is already quite a top powerhouse, and the number is extremely rare. The combined S-class of Qin and Qi does not exceed 100. Awakened people of this level possess terrifying power. 1 person is enough to destroy a city, and they are like gods in the eyes of mortals. Powerful power is often accompanied by a transcendent status. For example, the director of the security bureau is an S rank. Chin-mo heard from his colleagues in the security department that the director is an awakened person of the mimicry system, and his arms can transform into dragon claws, but he doesn't know if it is true or not. But no matter what, Chin-mo has only one goal now: to accumulate light energy points and become stronger quickly. If it is true, I have awakened the Superman gene. Which line should this belong to? Chin-mo rubbed his chin and thought to himself. The awakened ones are divided into 3 major departments, namely the mimicry department, the elemental department, and the spiritual department. As the name suggests, the mimic system can simulate all kinds of beasts, such as tigers and leopards, and the simulated ones are even more terrifying than the original strength of the beasts. The elemental system can control various elements such as earth, fire, water, wind, etc., such as rubbing fireballs with bare hands. As for the spiritual system, it is the rarest and most mysterious. There are very few Awakeners in this series, maybe only 1 out of 10,000 Awakeners. Their abilities are a mystery, the only known ones are manipulating nightmares and changing memories. Obviously, the Superman gene has nothing to do with either line. This is Chinmo's unique superhuman system, and the original classification of awakened people is obviously not applicable to him. While thinking, while distributing the light energy points according to the plan just now, the warm current spread to the whole body in an instant. Chinmo clenched his fists. He obviously felt that his hands were very powerful, and his whole body seemed to have endless energy. He was extremely energetic. Eyesight, 4. Hearing, 0. Intelligence, 1. Breathing, 0. Strength, 1. Speed, 1. Recovery, 0. Defense, 1. Light energy points, 0. This is his current attribute panel, which is obviously different from that at noon. Next, we need to wait for the sun to rise after dawn, and accumulate light energy points again. Afterwards, Chinmo got up and went to the kitchen to make a simple dinner, and then logged on to Huiwang. When the clock reached 10:30, he went to wash up, and then went straight to bed. This is his boring daily life, but it is also self-disciplined enough. No words all night. The next morning, before the first ray of sunlight appeared in the morning, Chinmo had already left the door. It was still early before work, and he was going to walk today. While basking in the sun and accumulating light energy points, look at how your physical fitness will be after adding points. Chinmo found that after increasing his strength and speed, his endurance has also improved a lot, and all-round improvement is indeed the right way. Passing the breakfast shop on the way to work, Chinmo sat down and had breakfast. After physical exertion, his appetite was much larger than before. He ate a bowl of soy milk and 2 deep-fried dough sticks, plus 3 steamed buns. 8 yuan for soy milk, 6 yuan for 2 deep-fried dough sticks, and 12 yuan for a basket of buns, exactly 50. This is the price of the imperial capital, which is much higher than other cities in Qin. But Chinmo's salary is only a little over 6,000 a month. Fortunately, his father Qin Hao left him an inheritance of more than 200,000, so he doesn't have to worry about food and clothing. The wages of the awakened ones are very high. Li Chengfeng entered the security office at the same time as him, but his salary was more than 3 times that of his. After eating, get stuck and enter the security office, and then it's time for happy fishing. There was nothing to do in the morning, and it passed quickly. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Li Chengfeng called Chinmo again and asked him to sort out the criminal records of another street for the past 3 years. After finishing all this, Chinmo glanced at the clock hanging on the wall. It was around 4 o'clock, and the light energy points were accumulated again immediately. Chinmo, who was leaning on the chair, stretched, and moved closer to the window. "Hey, Chinmo, why didn't I see you wearing glasses today?" The speaker was a female colleague with a capable high ponytail, named Su Yin, who graduated from the military academy 2 years ago and then directly entered the security department to work. She is not an awakened person, and she is about the same age as Chinmo, so the two of them are closer on weekdays and have a good relationship. When Chinmo heard the question, he turned his head and said with a smile, "I've been doing eye exercises all these years, and it's been quite effective recently. The degree has dropped a lot, and I don't need to wear glasses anymore. So it's like this. Don't tell me, it's different after taking off the glasses. People look more energetic. Then it has to, the face value has risen in a straight line." Chinmo said. "Then do you want to be my boyfriend? Little handsome guy." Su Yin turned her pen and blinked at him. If someone else said this, I would definitely refuse, but if it's Miss Su Yin. Chinmo said seriously, "I can indeed consider it." You're still thinking about it, you're not sincere at all. "Sister, I'm going to find an awakened person to be my boyfriend in the future." Su Yin spat softly, and looked out the window with her chin resting on her cheek. Chinmo smiled and didn't speak anymore. The two often joked like this. Of course, he already knew what Su Yin was thinking. At this moment, there was a squeak in my ear. Chinmo looked up and saw Li Yuan, the leader of the 7th group, pushing open the door of the small office, his eyes slowly sweeping across the crowd. Li Yuan is a very capable woman. She always pays attention to efficiency in doing things, and she dislikes procrastination the most. Under her leadership, the seventh group has always been in the front row at the security office. At this time, she said lightly, the awakened ones come to my office now. After the words fell, Li Chengfeng and other 3 men and a woman got up together and walked towards the small office. Su Yin watched the office close the door, shutting ordinary people like them out. Her eyes were complicated, and she felt extremely uncomfortable in her heart. This is the gap. Even if the 2 parties stay in the same office every day, there is still an insurmountable gap. Qin Mo on the side didn't feel anything. He wanted to know what Li Yuan was trying to say when he suddenly called all the awakened people over. Reminiscent of the fact that Li Chengfeng has been sorting out the criminal records in his jurisdiction recently, could it be that he is on a mission again? The team leader's office is more than 20 meters away from his workstation, and the sound insulation of the walls is very good. No sound can be heard from the outside at all when the people talking inside. 10 minutes passed like this, and Li Chengfeng and others still hadn't come out. Qin Mo leaned on the chair and looked out the window. Suddenly he was refreshed, and a warm current flowed through his body. Light energy points. 7 freely assignable. Today's light energy points are finally accumulated. Qin Mo didn't even think about it, and decisively added half of the points to listening. Hearing. 4, light energy point. 3. The warm current quickly gathered around his ears, his hearing instantly increased, and a lot of noisy sounds poured into his ears. Qin Mo clearly heard Su Yin's pen scribbling back and forth on the paper, and vaguely heard her heartbeat, footsteps outside the corridor. The sudden change made it difficult for him to adapt, and he froze on the chair for a while. After 2 or 3 minutes passed, Qin Mo Fang was able to control this part of the power and filter out the voices he didn't want to hear. He concentrated and listened carefully to the conversations in the small office. From this moment on, the sound-insulating walls officially lost their due effect on Qin Mo. Last night, an F-rank awakened person from the 3rd group encountered a sudden attack on the way to carry out the mission. It was Li Yuan's voice. Qin Mo's eyes lit up, and his enhanced hearing made him hear very clearly. Small office. Li Yuan crossed his hands and fingers, put his elbows on the table, and continued. Fortunately, the other team members were nearby at that time, and they came in time to force the attacker away. The F-level awakened person did not die, and was sent to the hospital overnight for emergency treatment. Afterwards, she paused, her tone increased. This is already the 3rd attack this month. 7 groups of awakened members stood side by side in front of her, everyone's face was very serious. Fights between awakened people often happened in the imperial capital. However, when one of the parties is a person from the Security Bureau, the nature is different. The Security Bureau is an official agency of Dakan, and it wields a lot of power. Who would dare to be so bold? Team leader, have you figured out the identity of the attacker? Li Chengfeng asked. Hearing this, Li Yuan shook his head slowly. It is precisely because the identity of the other party is unknown that it is worth paying attention to. The higher-ups have issued an order that the security office will strengthen inspections within the jurisdiction recently, and you must all be vigilant. Unknown. Qin Mo took all this into his ears and thought to himself. There are many agencies under the Security Bureau. In addition to the Security Department, there is also a very powerful intelligence department. The intelligence network covers the entire imperial capital. If even the intelligence department didn't find out the identity of the other party, it seems that this is a big force. As the absolute center of Great Qin, the imperial capital seems to be riddled with holes, but it really needs to quickly accumulate strength. After that, there was nothing to listen to, and Li Yuan explained a few more words to keep the call open at all times, and there may be missions at any time, so the conversation ended here. Li Chengfeng and others pushed the door out and returned to their respective workstations with normal expressions. Su Yin glanced at a few people, curious about what the group leader in the small office told them just now, but she was not qualified enough to know. This is the reality, you are not an awakener, and you are doomed to have no right to know many secrets. According to what Li Yuan said just now, 3 awakened people have been attacked this month, but they haven't received any news, so they don't even know about it. The level of status is clear and distinct at a glance. Strength, you still need strength. Qin Mo secretly sighed in his heart. Fortunately, he has now awakened the superhuman gene, and it is only a matter of time before he becomes stronger. However, Why did the accumulated light energy points yesterday be 8 points, but today only 7 points? Chin Mo frowned slightly, looked through the glass at the sun that was about to set, with doubts on his face, and whispered softly. Is it because it's cloudy today? What are you mumbling about here yourself? Su Yin patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, it's time to get off work, handsome boy. Oh, let's go now. Chin Mo looked away. Bad weather was the only influencing factor he could think of. Then, in reverse, if there is a sunny day, wouldn't the accumulated light energy points also increase? He immediately turned on the computer and called up the weather forecast for the next 15 days. After a glance, the corners of his mouth slowly curled into a smile. Except for the cloudy next Monday and next Thursday, it will be sunny at other times, and the temperature will hover around 31 degrees. The summer in the imperial capital is still very hot, which is good news for Chin Mo. Afterwards, he and Su Yin left the security bureau building together, and the two separated at the intersection. Su Yin's family background is not bad, and she is quite good at enjoying life, so she bought a car for commuting to and from get off work. Little handsome boy, do you want my sister to give you a moment? Sister Sus co-pilot should be reserved for her future boyfriend. I like to walk home recently and exercise. Yo, you didn't sneak a date with a little girl, did you? Su Yin glanced at Chin Mo, her eyes lingering a little longer on his waist. It's innocent to slander people out of thin air. I'm going to sue you for defamation. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. My sister is leaving first, see you tomorrow. Su Yin started the engine, and the car hummed immediately. Great, see you tomorrow. Chin Mo watched the car drive away, shook his head with a smile, turned around and walked towards home. In fact, he just wanted to accumulate more light energy points before the sun set. There are still 3 points that can be allocated freely. Chin Mo added 1 point to his eyesight as usual. Retina is too greedy for him. The remaining 2 points are added to strength and speed respectively. The light energy points are still not enough, but Chin Mo doesn't need to go on missions now, so it doesn't matter if you take your time. As for the unidentified attacker, if he was really targeting the security bureau, then Chin Mo would be the safest. No awakened person would have nothing to do, and it was meaningless to do something to an ordinary person like him who had no status or status. The next day, in the afternoon, Chin Mo sat in front of the computer, browsing various inquiries on the web. When not on duty, the work of the security department is so leisurely, which is very suitable for retirement. He is browsing the relevant information of the awakened ones, and the authority of the security office allows him to see more things than ordinary people. The strength of F-level awakened people is still very weak. The mimicry system is mainly to strengthen the upper limbs, that is, the arms. The same is true for the elemental system, which can use the controlled elements to possess the arms. For example, the awakened fire element, after the genetic power is activated, the arms can emit blazing flames. After being promoted to E rank, you can strengthen your lower limbs, D rank can strengthen your torso, and your strength will be greatly improved. There are only introductions from F to D grades, and the C to A grades and even S grades are beyond his authority. It turns out that the power level of the awakened people below C level is clearly differentiated. If we concentrate on attacking their weaknesses, we may be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Chin Mo thought secretly in his heart. Although his IQ had only increased a little, his thinking flexibility had improved a lot. He could immediately grasp the key points of many things at a glance. At this moment, a familiar feeling emerged, and Chin Mo hurriedly opened the awakening panel. Vision, 5. Listening, 4. Intelligence, 1. Breathing, 0. Strength, 2. Speed, 2. Recovery, 0. Defense, 1. Light energy points, 13. There are so many 13 o'clock. Chin Mo was taken aback. His guess was indeed correct, and more light energy points would indeed be accumulated on sunny days. However, if there are 13 points, the allocation must be carefully considered. He pondered for a while, and quickly made a decision, adding 3 of them to his eyesight as usual. The warm current quickly gathered around the eyes, quietly transforming his eyes. Chin Mo raised his eyebrows suddenly, and he keenly noticed that the warm current has been entrenched for longer than the previous 2 times, and his eyes seem to be undergoing more changes, and what he sees is somewhat different. Vision, 8. Light energy points. 10. Awakening skill. Perspective. Hiss. This skill. Mo couldn't help but gasp. This skill is really useful. Adding eyesight first is indeed the most correct choice. Unexpectedly, there will be such changes in the Superman Awakening panel in the future. The more light energy points are added, the stronger Mo's ability to respond to that item will become. For example, his current eyesight has reached 8 o'clock, and he can see every corner of the 7 groups of offices clearly and clearly. Mo looked at Su-yin, who was sitting across from him and was working. Now he can count how many eyelashes there are on her eyes, and he can also see the lines of her lips. It can be said that even if he leaves the security office now, he can still find a high-paying job in the imperial capital with his supervision. Not to mention, he just awakened his skills. With a thought, the perspective is instantly opened, and the world immediately becomes a brand new look in his eyes. Mo looked down at the computer in front of him, and the display screen became unreal, revealing the driver board and circuit board behind, which was amazing. Hey, Mo, what are you doing? Why are you standing still? Su-yin's voice suddenly rang in his ears, pulling him back from his thoughts. Nothing, just thinking about something. Mo replied casually, and his eyes naturally moved to Su-yin's body. He did not turn off the perspective skill at this time. Button front, white, at least a C. There is actually a C. Mo glanced at her in surprise, wondering in his heart, after getting along for so long, why didn't he notice it at all? I didn't expect Su-yin to be so predictable. If I knew it, I would have given her a ride yesterday. What are you thinking so focused on? You can't be thinking about your little girlfriend, right? But life is really boring, so I can only be in a daze. Su-yin didn't notice where his eyes were looking. She leaned on the back of the chair and habitually raised her legs, and put her hands behind her head. Mo nodded approvingly, and then said, boring is really boring, but what's so bad about being bored? Sunbathing, touching fish, raising old age, Sister Sue, isn't life like this? Quote. You, don't put on an old-fashioned, disillusioned look, sister, I'm older than you. Su-yin cursed with a smile. Big is really big. Mo made a pun, but Su-yin didn't catch what he meant. 15 minutes before get-off work, after clearing the table, he continued to experiment with his newly acquired skills. I don't know what the team leader does in the small office every day. Mo thought curiously, and quietly activated perspective, and the walls of the small office immediately became transparent in his eyes. I saw that Li Yuan was holding a document in his hand at this time. Looking at it carefully, a wisp of bangs restlessly fell down in front of his eyes, adding a 3-point beauty. Li Yuan herself is very beautiful. She is famous in the security office as a big beauty, and she has many suitors. Aside from those slender long legs that make people unable to take their eyes off at a glance, her own temperament is also very attractive. She is usually unsmiling and always has a cold face, like an iceberg. As we all know, the beauty of the iceberg can also increase the attack speed. Not to mention that Li Yuan's hairstyle is the same every day, always with a single ponytail, and his attack speed has increased again. Mo looked at it for a few minutes, and found that Li Yuan had been reading the document, so he was about to look away. But at this moment, Li Yuan suddenly raised his hand and pushed Lu Hai behind his ear, put down the document in his hand, got up and pushed the chair away, and walked towards the locked cabinet in the corner. She took out the key and squatted down to open the cabinet. The round curve is so easy to imagine. What exactly is in the cabinet? Mo's curiosity grew stronger, but his eyes widened the next moment. A pink wash basin. Why did the team leader put a wash basin in the cabinet in the office? Mo was stunned, but he soon realized that he had guessed wrong. It turned out that it was not a wash basin, but foot bath. Li Yuan filled the basin with hot water, put it on the ground, bent over and reached out to take off the slightly rooted shoes and white socks, revealing a pair of skinny feet. Mo's eyesight has been enhanced now. He can clearly see every detail of Li Yuan's feet. Her feet are very white and clean, her toenails are also neatly trimmed, and there are marks drawn by the pattern of socks on the instep. Plunge your feet into the steaming water, twist your toes playfully, and splash a few small splashes. Li Yuan squinted her eyes and leaned on the back of the chair. It seemed that because of the comfort of soaking her feet, She unconsciously raised the corners of her mouth, showing a look of great enjoyment. Chin Mo was stunned. He didn't expect that he would see this scene. The usually serious and cold-spoken group leader was in his office, soaking his feet. And from the looks of it, it's obviously not the first time she's done this. Mom, he seemed to have discovered Li Yuan's little secret by accident. It turns out that the team leader is not so cold. After get off work, Chin Mo walked out of the office building and still chose to walk home to exercise his physical fitness. As for what he saw just now, he had to keep it in his heart. I got a lot of light energy points today. After adding 3 points to my eyesight, there are still 10 points left. Chin Mo started to distribute points on the way home. He added a little to strength, speed, and defense as usual, and then added a little breath. The cardiopulmonary function increased rapidly, and the breathing during running immediately became much longer. When he got home, Chin Mo found that today was 10 minutes faster than yesterday. He turned on the water heater and took a shower first. While taking a shower, he naturally recalled the scene he saw before he got off work. Chin Mo decisively turned the hot water into cold water. After tidying up and eating, Chin Mo sat on the sofa, opened the awakening panel, thought for a while, added a little to intelligence and recovery, and invested the remaining 4 points in strength. Compared with 3 days ago, his current attribute value has changed drastically, and it is becoming stronger visible to the naked eye. Eyesight, 8. Listening, 4. Intelligence, 2. Breath, 1. Strength, 7. Speed, 3. Recovery, 1. Defense, 2. Skill, perspective. Light energy points, 0. The warm current quickly spread to the whole body, and then quickly dissipated like a tide. Chin Mo clenched his fist with a strong sense of strength. He looked at the coffee table in front of him, stretched out his right hand and put it under the coffee table, trying to see how much it had been strengthened. This coffee table is not made of glass, but made of bluestone and sunken wood. It weighs at least 300 caddies. Ordinary people can only move it, and cannot lift it at all, let alone lift it with one hand. But Chin Mo is no longer what he used to be. He is now an awakened person, and he has broken away from the category of ordinary people. He exerted a little force, and the coffee table suddenly lifted off the ground, but Chin Mo hardly felt any weight, as if lifting a stool. He can even throw the coffee table into the air, and then catch it firmly, with ease. Of course, this kind of strength improvement is indeed great compared with before, but compared with Superman, it is far from enough. Superman can easily stop a train, lift an airplane at will, and even move the earth. Chin Mo is only in pediatrics right now. The light energy points are still not enough. I still have a long way to go before becoming an invincible hexagonal warrior like Superman. He whispered, not complacent about his rapidly growing strength. After 2 lives as a human being, Chin Mo's mentality has been polished enough to be tough. After putting down the coffee table, he turned on his mobile phone and began to browse through various consultations. Chin State and Chi State have been fighting for more than 10 years, and both countries have hoarded a large number of troops, weapons, and many awakened people on the border. Most of the time, the two sides are confronting each other, and there will be small frictions every now and then, and occasionally large forces will exchange fire, and each will win or lose. However, it is impossible for both sides to really start a full-scale war. The national strength of the two countries is not bad, and there is no certainty of victory, so they will not go to war easily. From the moment when the genetic mutation of all human beings occurred and the awakened ones officially appeared, powerful individual forces have once again dominated the historical development of the world. First, there was a scuffle among the nations, the Great Qin officially rose, and the other rising was Qi. Since then, the two sides have collided and both want to annex each other. A war ends only when one side is destroyed by the other. However, I don't know when I have to wait. Maybe Chin Mo will never have the chance to experience this in his lifetime. After reading the daily consultation for half an hour, he withdrew and browsed the latest news in the capital, and soon a piece of news caught his attention. The old head of the Lin family in the Far East held a very high-profile private birthday banquet in the Lin Garden a few days ago, during which all the major families sent their important children to attend. His Majesty the Emperor Wu personally wrote an inscription to celebrate the birthday of the old head Lin. His Majesty the Emperor Wu is the current emperor of Great Qin. And this private banquet, even though it was published in the newspaper, is farther away from ordinary people than they are from the awakened ones. This is true high society. The influence of ancient families on Great Qin is quite terrifying. They control a lot of resources, economy, power, military. As long as it is a place you can imagine, there must be a shadow of a family. Emperor Wu personally wrote an inscription to celebrate his birthday. One can imagine the status of the family. Qin Mo is no stranger to aristocratic families, because the S-level director of the Security Bureau is the current head of an ancient family. The director's surname is Li of the Li family in Qingyang, and he is also one of the current dukes of Dakan, with a very high status. These 1,000-year-old aristocratic families have a terrifying right to speak in the court, and can even influence certain decisions of His Majesty the Emperor Wu. Many important positions in the Security Bureau are from the Li family in Qingyang. Does the Emperor Wu have anything to do? Obviously, no. This generation of royal family is the weakest royal family since the founding of the Great Qin dynasty. At least among the S-level awakened people that Qin Mo knows, the royal family does not even occupy a seat. In contrast, Qingyang Li family, Yan'an family, Changping Lu family, Yuandong Lin family, and Zhenbei Chu family, these 5 families are the oldest families in the Great Qin dynasty, and they are existences that ordinary people must not provoke. The 1,000-year-old family is powerful, with many disciples in the family, a large bloodline, a flourishing family, and many high-level awakened people. But this is too far away from Qin Mo. He is not interested in the balance between the royal family and the aristocratic family, so he just sighed at this time. To have a private garden in a place like the imperial capital, the status of the aristocratic family is really high enough. Some people can't afford a house all their lives, and some people are born to live in luxury houses. The fate is always so unfair. However, the emergence of the awakened ones has given people a lot of opportunities. If you are S-rank, even if you come from a poor background and have no background, what about a 1,000-year-old family? Isn't it the same as wanting to treat you as a guest of honor? The next day, in the afternoon, after Qin Mo went to the cafeteria for lunch, he was not in a hurry to go back. He went to find a place with sufficient sunlight nearby, basked in the sun for more than an hour, and then walked towards the Security Bureau building. Fortunately, he directly absorbed the sun's energy, otherwise, if he continued to expose himself to the sun, his skin color would turn darker by a few degrees in a short time. When Qin Mo entered the office of the 7th group, he suddenly found that the office was half empty. Except for Su Yin and the other 2 non-awakened team members who were still sitting at the workstations, none of the rest of them had disappeared. He turned his head to look at the small office, and activated the clairvoyance skill silently, but saw that the inside was also empty, and Li Yuan was indeed not there. Qin Mo walked to his workstation and asked Su Yin, who was facing him, "Sister Su, where did the team leader go? It's time for a mission." Su Yin fiddled with her nails and said without raising her head, "Half an hour ago, the higher-ups suddenly issued an order that there was an urgent task to be carried out, so the team leader took Li Changfeng and the others there." Task. Qin Mo frowned. Li Yuan only brought the awakened ones, not them. This was obviously not an ordinary task. Reminiscent of the last time everyone talked in the small office, there was a mysterious awakened organization fighting against the Security Bureau, so the content of this mission can be imagined. It seems that the intelligence department has found the trace of the other party. Qin Mo thought to himself, the action of the intelligence department is still fast, but missions are often accompanied by danger. I hope everything goes well. After that, he continued to gather by the window to collect solar energy. He can't help Li Yuan's actions, he doesn't even know the mission location, and his current strength is not strong enough. In this way, the afternoon is fleeting, and it is time to get off work. Qin Mo glanced at the time, feeling a little doubtful in his heart. Li Yuan had been on a mission before, but it never took such a long time. The mission this time is really unusual. I don't know what kind of power the opponent is. Qin Mo was thinking, and suddenly raised his eyebrows, and opened the awakening panel. The accumulation of light energy points today is over, 2 points less than yesterday, only 11 points. As usual, first add 2 points to vision, and then add 1 point to speed, defense, intelligence, and breathing respectively. Feeling the warm current flowing in various parts of the body, Chinmo pondered for a while, and directly added the remaining 5 points to strength. Retinazer didn't know when he would wake up. Before that, the improvement of his eyesight would make it difficult for him to stand by. Therefore, Chinmo adjusted the allocation plan in time, first raising the strength, speed, and defense of the body. As the light energy point returned to 0 again, a powerful warm current quickly dissipated from the whole body. Strength 12, awakening skill, deliberate punching. Actually awakened a new skill. Deliberate punching. Concentrate the whole body's strength on one point, and then erupt in an instant, exerting a destructive power far beyond its own power, which is extremely powerful. This is similar to Kunjin in traditional martial arts, but the name sounds familiar. For a while, Chinmo couldn't remember where he had heard it, but having new skills meant that his strength had once again increased a lot. When the eyesight reached 8 points, clairvoyance was awakened, and now the strength reached 12 points, and new skills were awakened. It seems that there is no pattern, and the skills are awakened randomly. However, Chinmo's intelligence is now 3, his analytical ability has been improved, and he found the pattern in the blink of an eye. After adding points, a certain aspect of him will be multiplied, and when a threshold is reached, skills will naturally be awakened. However, vision and strength are obviously not in the same field, so the threshold will naturally be different. After thinking about this layer clearly, the next step will be much easier. The previous distribution plan remains unchanged, and you can gradually add points to all aspects and improve the attributes. Now that his strength has increased several times compared to before, Chinmo decided to find a place to test it at night, and see how powerful the new skills are. By the way, he already had a goal. Not far from his home, there happened to be a construction site recently. The original residential building was pulled down, and it was said that a high society entertainment building would be built there. Don't think about it, this look is the handwriting of the aristocratic family. Soon it was time to get off work, but Li Yuan and the others did not come back, and the task was not over yet. Chinmo felt more and more abnormal, this time was indeed too long. He didn't think too much about it, and ran home just like the past 2 days. After 15 minutes, he arrived at his destination. This speed was intentionally controlled by him, and he did not try his best. After all, the imperial capital has a large population. If he let go of the full speed, he would be as fast as an electric car, garish. The front intersection has been surrounded by rusty iron fences, and there is a yellow sign on it, which says, "Heavy construction site, please do not approach." At this point, the workers had already started to get off work one after another. Seeing that it would take some time for people to leave, Chinmo went to find a noodle restaurant on the side of the road and ate 3 bowls of beef ramen in a row. Then, he went around the fence and walked to a remote place. His enhanced eyesight and hearing allowed Chinmo to confirm that there was no one around. He squatted down slowly, looked up at the building whose outer wall had been demolished obliquely above, aimed at the 3rd floor, and jumped with all his might. The next moment, Chinmo landed steadily on the 3rd floor. He turned his head to look at the height and distance, and the corners of his mouth slowly turned up. The 3-story building was about 10 meters high, and he jumped over obliquely again. This is the improvement brought by Strength 12 to Chinmo. If you add more points later, you will jump higher and farther, maybe. Soon to be able to fly, Superman can fly. Retinazer and flying are abilities that Chinmo really wants to acquire. As for now, it's time to try a new skill. This residential building is 8 stories high, and Chinmo went up 3 more floors, and the people who watched the construction site at night heard some movements. There are many steel bars and steel plates on the 6th floor, and the exposed walls are made of reinforced concrete, which is extremely hard. Chinmo picked up a steel bar casually, held both ends with both hands, and gently broke the steel bar, and the steel bar was bent directly. It's so easy. For the second time, he directly picked up a bundle, and after a rough scan, there were about 20 or 30. As the saying goes, a chopstick is easy to break, but if it is a chopstick, just a crunch. A bundle of steel bars was still easily bent by Chinmo. The growth of strength is too fast, almost doubled. Chinmo broke the steel bar back and restored it to its original state, and said to himself, but yes, if the promotion is too slow, it may take more than 10 years to pry a planet. The sky darkened silently. It was even darker in the residential building under construction. Fortunately, Chin Mo's vision as high as 10 o'clock now allows him to see clearly at night and move freely. He quietly turned on the perspective and scanned the surroundings, and the internal structure of the walls of this residential building was immediately presented in front of his eyes. Soon, Chin Mo found a relatively solid wall, which was the right corner of the building. He walked to the corner, restrained his expression, clenched his right hand into a fist, and kept a gap of 3 centimeters from the wall. After a slight pause, he suddenly blasted out at a very high speed. Skill. Deliberate punching, launch. Boom. A big hole was instantly blasted in the corner, and the reinforced concrete inside was directly broken from the middle, like a piece of tofu. Chin Mo's face brightened. He was able to punch through the wall with ease, and now he finally has a bit of a Superman. He withdrew his arm from the hole, his fist undamaged except for a layer of dust. With a defense of 3 points, his current skin is comparable to a stone, and he will not be easily injured. This is the benefit of all-round balanced development. If you simply add a certain ability first, it will inevitably cause other huge weaknesses. This is the end of tonight's experiment. Chin Mo is very satisfied with his changes in the past few days and his current ability. Now, even if he encounters an awakened person, he can still have a certain amount of self-protection power, provided that the opponent's level is not high. Chin Mo took out his mobile phone from his pocket and glanced at the time. I didn't expect it to be past 8 o'clock, and it's almost time to go to bed when I go home and wash up. After all, he was ready to walk home. But at this moment, a ringtone suddenly rang. Chin Mo took out his phone again and found that it was Su Yin's call. He directly put it in his ear and said, "Hey, Sister Su, you're calling late at night. Do you want to invite me to have a drink?" Unexpectedly, Su Yin's hasty voice came from the phone. "Chin Mo, something happened. You hurry to the Imperial Hospital now. The team leader failed their mission, and many people were injured." Mission failed. Chin Mo's face became serious for a moment, and he immediately said, "Okay, I'll be right there." 20 minutes later, the Imperial Capital Hospital. Chin Mo saw Su Yin in the corridor on the 3rd floor. The other 2 who hadn't been on the mission hadn't arrived yet because they lived far away. "What's the situation now?" Su Yin shook her head, with a hint of worry in her eyes. "The situation is very bad. The 6 awakened people in our 7 groups who went on this mission were all injured. The group leader and Wang Yan were the most seriously injured. When they were sent to the hospital, they had been unconscious for a long time and lost a lot of blood. Fortunately, his life was not injured. After rescue, his life was temporarily out of danger, but he was still in a coma and did not wake up." Quote, "Everyone gets hurt. Li Yuan was already an E-level awakener, but he still suffered such serious injuries. It seemed that the opponent's power was greater than he imagined. We'll have to stay in the hospital until the team leader wakes up," Su Yin said. Hearing this, Chin Mo nodded without any objection. The battle is in charge of the awakened ones, and the logistics will naturally be the turn of ordinary people like them. Besides, it's the same wherever he is. Looking at the opposite wall, Chin Mo activated his perspective skills, and then saw what the inside of the ward looked like. This is a single ward. Li Yuan is lying on the bed at this time, his face is pale and bloodless, and his breathing is still very weak. The windows in the ward are very spacious, and the lighting can be seen to be very good. One night, fleeting, Chin Mo and Su Yin took turns to watch the night, and they got enough sleep. As his physique improved, his spirit became many times stronger than before. As for the other 2 in the 7th group, they were responsible for taking care of Li Changfeng and the others. In the morning of the next day, the security department dispatched 3 F-level awakeners from other groups to be responsible for the safety of Li Yuan and the others. This time, the 7th group was almost wiped out. It has been a long time since such a bad incident occurred in the Security Bureau. In particular, this is the Imperial Capital, the center of Great Qin. The arrogance of this mysterious force can be seen. Chin Mo didn't know how much the intelligence department had found out. His current level was not high enough, and he wasn't even qualified to know the details of the mission. At this time, in the ward, he sat by the window, looking at Li Yuan lying on the hospital bed. After resting for a day and a night, her complexion has improved a lot with the naked eye, and she has a little blood color, and she thinks she will wake up soon. Chin Mo looked through the quilt and saw her body. There were 3 hideous scars on the left abdomen near the heart. The scar was about 20 centimeters long, running obliquely from the chest to the waist. Although stitches had been stitched, blood was still oozing slightly at the edge. This doesn't look like a knife wound, the 3 scars are located very close together, it's more like a creature's sharp claws were torn apart. In addition, on Li Yuan's right shoulder, there was a skin ulcer the size of a palm, which was a burn mark. Most of the injured parts were concentrated on the trunk. Although there were scars on the limbs, they were much lighter. Qin Mo quickly thought of the information he read the day before yesterday. F-level awakeners strengthen the upper limbs, E-level awakeners strengthen the lower limbs, and only C-level awakeners can strengthen the torso. At that time, he wondered if he could get twice the result with half the effort if he focused on attacking the parts that had not been strengthened. Now it seems that it is so. We are all smart people. Qin Mo's brain was spinning fast, and he secretly analyzed Li Yuan's injury. The sharp claws on the abdomen should be caused by a mimic awakened, and the burn on the right shoulder is obviously an elemental fire. It seems that the team leader must have been besieged by at least 2 awakened people. In this way, comprehensive and balanced development is more and more correct. From the very beginning, his power has spread all over his body. Although the awakened skill is called a deliberate punch, he can also use his feet, knees, elbows, and shoulders to activate the skill. The defense is the same, the whole body defense, the head can be strengthened, there is no weakness at all. That's the horror of hexagon fighters. Just as he was thinking like this, a warm current flowed through his heart suddenly. Unknowingly, the sun is about to set, and today's light energy points have been accumulated again. Qin Mo opened the awakening panel and looked, a smile appeared on his brows and eyes. Vision, 10. Listening, 4. Intelligence, 3. Breaths, 2. Strength, 12. Speed, 4. Recovery, 1. Defense, 3. Skills, Perspective, Deliberate Punching. Light energy points, 16. Freely assignable. This is the time Qin Mo has accumulated the most light energy points since he awakened his superhuman gene, which was 16 points. He was right, the location of this ward is very good, and the lighting is excellent. According to the usual practice, first add 3 points to eyesight and strength respectively, and the warm currents converge on the eyes and the whole body respectively. His eyesight has been improved again, and he can see farther and finer. The same is true for Qin Mo's strength. He used to be just 178 centimeters tall, but with the increase in strength, he is now 183 centimeters tall. The energy of the sun did something to his body, making his muscles more and more perfect, and the proportions of his body changed accordingly. The height of 183 makes him look more well-proportioned and more temperamental overall. Vision, 13, Strength, 15, Light energy point, 10, Freely assignable. The values of various attributes changed accordingly. Qin Mo decided to let go of other attributes first, so as to let hearing and speed reach the threshold first. Both of these are now 4 points, higher than the others. Qin Mo allocated another 4 points to listening, and the remaining 6 points to speed. Hearing, 8, Speed, 10, Light energy point, 0 inches. Hearing awakening skill, Radar, Speed awakening skill, Shunpo. After the allocation, the 2 reached the threshold at the same time, awakening the corresponding skills. Qin Mo couldn't help but look happy, and the heat began to surge in his body again. Then, he first checked the skill Shunpo, which is easy to understand, and in the final analysis is also a way of power explosion. After launching Shunbu, Qin Mo's speed can be instantly increased to the extreme. Within a second, he can directly walk more than 10 meters, which is comparable to teleportation. As for the skill Radar for hearing awakening, it is a bit complicated. Qin Mo can now identify the specific location of the opponent through the received sound. He tried to activate the skill, and the voices from all directions suddenly seemed to be amplified countless times, and it sounded directly in his mind. And he just added points. The doubling of hearing has expanded Qin Mo's hearing range several times, and he can hear everything in the entire hospital building. Qin Mo closed his eyes and thought to himself, in the left ward, 2 heartbeats are 10 meters and 15 meters. Afterwards, he opened his eyes, looked at the wall, and activated perspective. He saw that Su Yin was sitting in the corner looking at her mobile phone, and lying on the hospital bed was Wang Yan, another seriously injured awakened person from Group 7. The distance he saw was exactly the same as what he heard. This was radar. Chin Mo nodded slowly, and was about to look away, but he didn't want to. At this moment, the familiar heat appeared again and poured into his head. Awakening combination skill. Holographic vision. Chin Mo was stunned. The light energy points have been exhausted. Why did he awaken new skills? But before he could think carefully about what combination skills are, the next moment, his vision and hearing suddenly amplified by themselves. Immediately afterwards, this 9-story hospital building was presented in front of his eyes in a new way. Countless lines are combined into an illusory building, every room, every heartbeat, the location of people. Chin Mo saw these things clearly from a certain god's perspective. However, his brain can't process so much information for the time being. There are thousands of people in this building, as well as various medical equipment. These voices flooded into his mind instantly, and Chin Mo felt like his head was about to explode. He tried to reduce the scope of the holographic field of vision until it covered 50 meters around, and it felt much better. Chin Mo rubbed the center of his eyebrows, closed the holographic vision, and opened the awakening panel again, and the skill column had changed. Perspective and radar actually disappeared, replaced by the newly awakened holographic vision. However, Chin Mo can continue to use perspective and radar, but according to the experiment just now, this new combination skill is more comprehensive and powerful. Obviously, 1 plus 1 is not equal to 2, but greater than 2. This is a good thing for Chin Mo. It seems that intelligence should be given priority next. Chin Mo murmured softly. At night, there are stars. Chin Mo went to the canteen of the Imperial Hospital to buy 2 dinners, one of which was for Su Yin. When he returned to the ward, the nurse was inside changing Li Yuan's bandage, reapplying the medicine along the way, and checking his vital signs. At this time, Chin Mo is not suitable to go in. He simply sat on the bench outside the corridor, and while he was eating, he opened the holographic vision, and the walls of the ward quietly disappeared again. I have to say that Li Yuan's figure is really good, especially his legs are the longest Chin Mo has ever seen. Moreover, perhaps because she is an F-level awakened person and has strengthened her lower limbs, her thighs are tight and look extremely powerful, but it does not destroy the beauty of the lines. The dressing change was over soon, and the nurse covered Li Yuan with the quilt again. Su Yin, who had been standing by the window, asked at this moment. Doctor, when will our team leader wake up? Hearing this, the doctor who was about to leave stopped and said, the patient's condition has been completely stabilized, and he will regain consciousness tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Follow-up observation for a period of time, and when the body is almost recovered, it can be discharged from the hospital. Quote. Su Yin nodded, looked down at Li Yuan, and asked again, after recovering, will there be scars on my body? You can rest assured that with the current medical level of our hospital, the scars can be eliminated to only slight shallow marks. The doctor said with a smile. Chin Mo listened to the conversation between the two, and he didn't suspect that the doctor was bragging. Although Li Yuan's wounds are difficult to treat, and he still has burns, the medical level in this world is much more advanced than in the previous life, not to mention that the Imperial Capital Hospital is the best hospital in the whole of Dokkan. For the awakened members of the Security Bureau, they will use 120% of their energy to treat them, using the best medicines and top-notch medical equipment. Seeing that the doctor was about to leave the ward, Chin Mo was about to close the holographic vision, but at this moment, he raised his eyebrows suddenly and heard something very interesting. Now he only controlled the scope of the holographic field of vision within a radius of 30 meters, and what he saw and heard was very clear. From Chin Mo's perspective, in the second room on the left side of the corridor, there were 2 people leaning against the window. Their heartbeats were stronger than those of ordinary people, and their blood flowed faster. Chin Mo knew who those 2 were. It was the awakened person who was transferred from other groups by the security department to be responsible for the safety of Li Yuan and the others. Only one of them whispered, "Oh, these wild awakener organizations are getting more and more rampant now. Even the people from the Security Bureau dare to move, it's really audacious. This organization is different from those small forces in the past. It can injure 7 groups of people like this. There should be high-level awakened people in the organization. They call themselves the Tiandaway, and they probably want to change the world. The goal is definitely not small." Heaven and Earth Association. Chin Mo secretly wrote down the name, and he finally learned the tip of the iceberg of the mysterious force. It's just that this high-level awakener, I don't know how high it can be, A level or S class. The two people in the room were still talking, and the person who spoke before said displeased "Ly, what is going on at the intelligence office? How long has it been since this happened, and there are only so few things collected? Intelligence department, do you still count on them? Do you guess why the 7th group became like this time? How to say? The person on the right leaned closer to him, and said in a low voice, I heard that Group 7 was ambushed by the Heaven and Earth Society for this mission. There is a problem with the information given by the intelligence department, and it seems that there is an inner ghost in the department. Quote. Hiss. There is such a thing. It's just hearsay. Who knows if it's true or not? Don't tell anyone else about this. The man laughed and instructed. Don't worry, I know the severity. Afterwards, the two stopped talking about this topic and started talking about other things. Chin Mo quietly closed the holographic field of vision, and frowned slightly. He didn't expect to hear such a harvest by accident. Intelligence Department, Inner Ghost. The addition of 3 points of intelligence allowed him to sort out the matter in an instant, and analyzed and reasoned based on the existing information. There is a high probability that the information I heard just now is true. The Security Bureau has been established in Dakin for many years, and the intelligence network of the Intelligence Department has been laid long ago. There have been few accidents in these years. If the team leader and the others really fell into an ambush this time, then, the inner ghost said that it is very likely to be true. Quote. He thought to himself in his heart, Tiandaway actually planted an insider in the Security Bureau. How big is the iceberg hidden under the water by this organization? The imperial capital seems to be in a state of unrest. Quote. Chin Mo frowned a little. If the imperial capital is in chaos, the Security Bureau will bear the brunt of it, which directly affects his life. After all, he wanted to stay in the Security Bureau until he retired, and he didn't want to lose his job. Not to mention, the daily workload is simply pitiful. I hope the Intelligence Department can quickly find out this ghost, and destroy the world by the way. He thought so. The next day, in the afternoon, it was Chin Mo's turn to watch again in the ward. He was still the same, sitting by the window while basking in the sun and looking at his phone. Water. Suddenly, a very faint voice suddenly sounded in the ward. Chin Mo suddenly raised his head to look at the hospital bed, only to see Li Yuan woke up at some point, blinking her slender eyelashes, looking at the ceiling in a daze. Seeing this, he quickly put down his phone, went to pour a glass of warm water, sat next to Li Yuan's bed, and slightly helped her up. Leader, the water is coming. Li Yuan didn't speak, her throat rolled slowly, and warm water flowed down her pale lips to her throat. Chin Mo pressed a button next to her and notified the doctor. Soon, half a glass of water entered his stomach. Li Yuan recovered and let out a sigh of relief. She glanced at the ward to confirm that she was in the hospital, then turned to look at Chin Mo, and said calmly, How long have I been in a coma? Less than 2 days. Well, you have been taking care of me all this time. Li Yuan seemed to have returned to his usual cold appearance, with an extremely indifferent tone. But since Chin Mo knew that she would take off her shoes and soak her feet in her small office every day before getting off work, his attitude towards her changed 3 points invisibly. Sister Su Yin and I took turns guarding the house, so we can't even talk about taking care of it. There are doctors and nurses around, he said. Afterwards, Chin Mo laid Li Yuan's body flat and continued, The doctor will be here soon. Team leader, you just woke up, so you should talk less and rest more. Li Yuan squeezed out the word, from his throat, and then the ward fell into silence. Neither of them spoke. The doctor quickly stepped into the ward, checked Li Yuan, and after confirming that there was nothing wrong with her, he gave some advice on diet and then left. Chin Mo and Li Yuan were left alone in the ward again. Thank you for your hard work, Li Yuan said suddenly, breaking the silence. Hearing this, Chin Mo was taken aback, and hurriedly said, It's not hard work, it's not hard work, it's nothing compared to you, the team leader, as long as the team leader can heal his injuries as soon as possible and leave the hospital. How about Wang Yan and the others? Li Yuan asked. Chin Mo said, Wang Yan's injuries are also serious. She hasn't woken up yet, but her life is not in danger. The others are less injured. Afterwards, he told Li Yuan some basic information about the past 2 days. Li Yuan was still very weak, and most of them just listened quietly. After the chat, she drank the remaining half glass of water with Qin Mo's support, and then fell asleep with her eyes closed. Qin Mo sat back by the window again. He looked at Li Yuan, who was gradually falling asleep, and the corners of his mouth curled up unconsciously. The leader is really beautiful. In fact, although Li Yuan has a cold personality on weekdays, she treats every member of the 7th group very well. In her eyes, there is no distinction between awakened people and ordinary people. As long as they enter the 7th group, they are her people, and she always treats them equally. Qin Mo didn't like Li Chengfeng and the others, but he had always had a good impression of Li Yuan. When he first entered the 7th group, Li Yuan took care of him a lot. The faint afterglow sprinkled on Qin Mo's face through the glass. He retracted his gaze and opened the awakening panel. Today's light energy points have been accumulated again. Eyesight, 13. Listening, 8. Intelligence, 3. Breaths, 2. Strength, 15. Speed, 10. Recovery, 1. Defense, 3. Skills, Holographic Vision, Deliberate Fist, Shunpo. Light energy points, 15. Freely assignable. As usual, add 2 points to each of the 3 attributes of eyesight, strength, and speed. For the remaining 9 points, Qin Mo first added 5 points to the intelligence, and the warm current quickly poured into the brain and began to strengthen. Intelligence, 8. Awakening skill, thinking like a spring. Just reaching the threshold, Qin Mo was overjoyed, and instead of checking the new skills first, he added all the remaining 4 points to defense. Defense, 7. Awakening skill, hardening. Light energy points are used up again. However, Qin Mo's current skill bar has become quite substantial. Except for breathing and recovery, other attributes have awakened their corresponding skills. Skills, Holographic Vision, Perspective, Radar, Deliberate Punching, Instant Step, Spring of Thought, Hardening. He is not far from the little hexagon fighter. Defensive skill, Hardening, as the name suggests, can temporarily increase the defense of a certain part of the body, similar to deliberate punching. His current defense is already very high. It can be said that he is invulnerable. Although he has not tried it, he feels that he can catch bullets now. After the hardening is activated, the defensive power will be improved again on the original basis, which is most suitable for use in conjunction with the deliberate punching punch. Strength, speed, and defense, these 3 items complement each other. Qin Mo really wanted to try it now, but because others were in the hospital and had to take care of Li Yuan, he had to suppress his eagerness to move, and turn to check another skill, thinking like a spring. After adding points just now, Qin Mo's intelligence has changed from 3 points to 8 points, which made his brain work more than 10 times faster. It is no exaggeration to say that he is now the genius with the highest IQ in the world. Learning, analysis, calculation, deduction and other abilities have been greatly improved. Qin Mo opened the holographic field of vision and directly covered a radius of 200 meters, covering the entire building. The radar instantly transmits the positions of thousands of people back to the brain, as well as various environmental sounds and instrument volumes. This information almost burst his mind yesterday, but today, Qin Mo has been able to analyze and process it in an orderly manner. Expanding the range from 50 meters to 200 meters is not just a simple addition, the amount of information is instantly denser by more than 10 times. Of course, he is still limited to receiving the most basic information. If he wants to see more detailed things through the holographic vision, he needs to activate the skills. Thinking like a spring. Instantly double the analysis and processing capabilities. This skill is very simple and rude, but it is also the only skill that Qin Mo has awakened so far that has sequelae. After using it, the spirit will be very tired and must be replenished by deep sleep. The brain is indeed the most mysterious place in human beings. Qin Mo thought to himself, and quietly activated his skills. At this moment, there was a radius of 200 meters around him, and nothing, big or small, could escape his perception. The high-speed operation of the brain filters out all the useless messy information, leaving only the location information of other people. Heartbeat and footsteps are enough to locate, and there are now a total of 2,238 people in the building. Because it was already evening, many people had gone to the cafeteria for dinner, so there were not many people. Chin Mo can also tell who is an awakened person and who is an ordinary person among the 2,000 people through the strength of his heartbeat. For example, there are now 19 awakened people in the building. Chin Mo opened his eyes suddenly, his face became extremely serious. How could there be 19 people? The 6 awakened people who were injured in 7 groups, plus the 3 F ranks dispatched by the security department, made up just 9 people. Who are the remaining 10 awakened ones? Chin Mo immediately turned his attention to the awakened people. The 7th group and the guards were all on the 3rd floor, and the other 10 people were divided into 3 waves. 6 people, the elevator, the stairways on both sides, there are 2 people on each side, and they have reached the 2nd floor. They obviously block the 3 passages of the hospital building. It looks like the visitor is not good. A name suddenly popped up in Chin Mo's heart, Tiandaway. The powerful calculation and analysis ability made him think a lot at this moment, and analyzed countless possibilities. If it was really Tiandaway, then it was obviously aimed at Li Yuan and the others. The 3F levels outside the door will definitely not be able to stop them. This is a very simple arithmetic problem. The direct distance between Imperial University and the Security Bureau is about 12 miles, which is very close. However, it is already off-duty time, and the time it takes to urgently dispatch the awakened ones to support them will increase exponentially. The other party has figured this out. Chin Mo got up suddenly, took out his mobile phone from his pocket, and quickly dialed the number of the Security Bureau. Beep, beep, beep. No one answered, the signal showed 0 bars, and it has been blocked. At this moment, Chin Mo looked serious. He was completely sure that the other party was a member of the Tiandaway. In the holographic vision, the 6 awakened people in the elevator have come out and are walking quickly towards the ward. It's too late to notify those 3 people. What to do? The Security Bureau could not be contacted for the time being, and Chin Mo was already complaining that every day should not be done, and that the ground was not working, and the others could not count on it. So, until now, only by yourself. This is why he wants to improve his strength, because with strength, he can have the power to choose in this situation, otherwise he can only wait for death. With a calm mind, a clear mind, and the gradually soaring adrenaline, Chin Mo quickly formulated a countermeasure in his heart. He walked quickly to the side of the hospital bed, woke Li Yuan up, lifted her quilt at the same time, and stretched his hands under her legs and shoulders respectively. Chin Mo, what are you going to do? Li Yuan asked coldly as he cast his cold eyes on his face. Team leader, a strange awakened person has entered the hospital building. You are in danger now. This place is no longer safe. We must transfer immediately, Chin Mo said quickly. As soon as he finished speaking, the lights above his head suddenly went out, and the whole building was instantly plunged into darkness. At the same time, a bang sounded suddenly in the next room. The people from the Tiandaway have already fought with the people from the security department. Li Yuan is not a fool, she can immediately tell whether what she said is true or not. A cold light flashed in her eyes. Tiandaway was more arrogant than she imagined, and dared to openly attack her in the hospital, trying to drive her to death. Li Yuan wanted to kill the enemy with her own hands, but she had more energy than strength, her current body was too weak. Turn around, you carry me away, this will have the least impact on your actions. She forced herself to stand up, the wound on her abdomen was torn, and her facial expression twitched a few times due to the pain, but Li Yuan just gritted her teeth and remained silent. Although it was in the dark, Chin Mo could still see her expression clearly. He didn't say much, and turned around to catch Li Yuan's body. This weight is like a feather to him now, and he feels nothing at all. Chin Mo stretched his hands behind his back to support Li Yuan's buttocks, and adjusted his posture. 2 lumps of soft flesh were tightly pressed against his back, and Li Yuan's cheeks were slightly red in the dark. This kind of behavior is very intimate, but now Chin Mo has no flaws to feel the taste of beauty carefully, fear has already made his skin tremble. He was terrified. Even though Chin Mo has awakened many skills and has great power in every move, he is still terrified. He doesn't have any experience in fighting people, let alone awakened ones. As a human being for 2 lifetimes, Chin Mo is a good citizen who abides by the law. How can he not be afraid of this situation? But, the more frightened you are, the more calm you must be. Team leader, hold on tight. Chin Mo gave a low drink, and walked towards the door of the ward with Li Yuan on his back. Snapped. The door opened, Chin Mo walked out quickly, turned left and walked away quickly. Although it was pitch black all around, to Chin Mo, it was no different from daytime. His eyesight has been improving all the time, it has reached 15, and he can see things very clearly in the dark. Besides, Chin Mo still has a holographic vision, and he is still urging his skills to think like a fountain, constantly analyzing the route in his mind. The 3 roads going downstairs have all been blocked, so we can only go upstairs first. Chin Mo thought to himself, while flexibly avoiding the nurses and patients running around. The whole building has become a mess, and suddenly being in the dark would have triggered panic and fear in people. Not to mention, the security office and the awakened members of the Tiandaway are fighting at this time, the occasional explosions, the tremor of the ceiling, the shaking of the dust, all amplify people's panic infinitely. Soon, Chin Mo stepped on the stairs to the upper floor. He knew that all he had to do now was wait for time. Su Yin was not in the building. She went to the cafeteria to buy food. If there was something wrong with the building, she would immediately notify the security bureau, and support would arrive soon. By the time Chin Mo reached the 4th floor, the people from the Heaven and Earth Society who went up the stairs had already reached the 3rd floor. However, they did not go to the ward, but continued to walk upwards, as if they were heading for Li Yuan. In Chin Mo's holographic field of vision, the movements of the 4 of them were as clear as bright lights. However, this is extremely unreasonable. How did the people from the Tiandaway know that they had gone up to the 4th floor? Chin Mo frowned slightly, and he continued to walk towards the 5th floor, only to find that the people from the Tiandaway also went up to the 5th floor. It seems. The other party has some means of tracking. Imperial Hospital, underground parking lot. Inside an inconspicuous black off-road vehicle, a beautiful woman wearing a white hip-wrapping skirt and black stiletto heels was sitting. She leaned on the car seat, closed her eyes, and frowned slightly. Li Yuan is still on the 5th floor, she hasn't moved yet. The woman whispered softly, her voice was as thin as a mosquito's moaning, undetectable, but they could hear the awakening of heaven and earth in the building clearly, as if someone was speaking directly in their minds. With this kind of weird ability, it is obvious that this woman is an extremely rare spiritual awakener. The darkness and chaos will also cause a lot of trouble for the people of the Tiandaway, but they have a spiritual awakened remote control, and this will instantly become their advantage. However, things did not develop as they expected. Li Yuan was able to leave the ward and run upstairs at an extremely fast speed, which was beyond the plan. How strong a will must be for a seriously injured patient to act in such an abnormal manner, ignoring his own pain. Chen Lingling could only explain it with will, and she couldn't think of other possibilities. As for Chin Mo, she had glimpsed this name by chance in the information, but that was all. After all, an ordinary person without awakening is not qualified to be noticed. Chen Lingling moved her eyelashes slightly, and suddenly said, Li Yuan has started to move, Leopard, she is heading towards you. At this time, Leopard, who was far away from the stairs on the left side of the hospital building, squeezed his wrist after hearing this, and a wicked smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Today, he will personally kill an E-level awakened person, and he is also an awakened person from the Li family. But before he could take a step, Chen Lingling's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Wait, she turned around, Eagle, get ready. The leopard was taken aback for a moment, then showed annoyance, and punched the wall with a fist, creating a shallow hole. Hateful. No, she's still walking towards the leopard. She seems to take a detour. Hearing this, Leopard's unhappiness dissipated instantly, but before he could smile again, Chen Lingling's voice sounded again. My God, she's going back again. Leopard. When the two sides were communicating, their steps never stopped. The leopard and the eagle had already left the stairs and officially entered the corridor on the 5th floor. But Chen Lingling was dumbfounded. She didn't have Chin Mo's holographic vision, and all she saw were a few spots of light. Now a total of 4 light spots on the left and right sides are rapidly approaching the light spot in the middle, and the two sides are about to meet. But in the next moment, Chen Lingling stared dumbfounded at the spot of light moving straight upwards. How did you do that? Could it be that Li Yuan is climbing the wall? Li Yuan has already gone to the 6th floor. Chen Lingling, are you kidding me? Leopard roared angrily in his head. But Chen Lingling couldn't care less about arguing with him now. Her brows were getting tighter and tighter, she was exuding her spiritual power with all her strength, and the back of her head was aching, as if a needle was being pricked. In a trance, she even had an illusion that she seemed to be facing another spiritual awakener who was stronger than her. She watched helplessly as Li Yuan appeared on the 6th floor, and then appeared strangely on the 4th floor. In an instant, she reached the stairs on the right and went down quickly. At this speed, where does he look injured at all? She has escaped her encirclement. Chen Lingling slowly opened her eyes, which were bloodshot. She let out a long breath, rubbed the center of her brows and said lightly, "Plan A fails, start backup plan." At this moment, the people of Tiandaway in the hospital building suddenly looked awe-inspiring. Qin Mo quickly appeared on the 1st floor with Li Yuan on his back. Because of the continuous tearing of the wound and the fact that she hadn't eaten a single grain of rice after waking up, Li Yuan's weak body had long been unable to support herself, and she fell into a coma again. However, the good news is that Qin Mo is about to take her out of danger. Relying on the holographic vision, Qin Mo played with the people of Tiandaway in his palms and easily broke through the encirclement. Now he only needs to step through the last door to leave the building. But at this moment, a very powerful heartbeat suddenly broke into the coverage of his holographic vision. Moreover, this heartbeat is rapidly approaching him. Qin Mo instantly stopped and stood there, breathing very slowly. He didn't expect that the Tiandaway would arrange a backup outside. The strength that this force has shown so far is too extraordinary. Now there are wolves and tigers in front, and they still have some kind of tracking method, but Qin Mo has already reached the 1st floor. It is too late to hide and seek at this time. No matter how he went, he would run into people from the Tiandaway. What to do? Qin Mo clenched his fist subconsciously, and quickly opened the awakening panel, with strength 16, speed 12, defense 7, recovery 1. He can easily lift a coffee table weighing several hundred kilograms, punch through reinforced concrete with a single punch, and jump straight up to the 3rd floor. Compared with a week ago, he has undergone earth-shaking changes. He has become an awakened person and has the strength to be close to him. So, why don't you give it a try? Call. After a short thought, Qin Mo let out a heavy breath. He squatted down slowly, put the unconscious Li Yuan in the corner beside him, and then walked behind the door. The perspective skill was activated, and the wall disappeared quietly. In the darkness, a tall and plain-looking man was striding towards the door. The two sides are less than 5 meters away. At this moment, many complicated thoughts flashed through Qin Mo's heart in an instant. He has been a human being for 2 lives, and after life and death, he chooses to live the comfortable life he wants. He just wants to go to work, touch fish, bask in the sun, have a few friends, and have a few cents to spare. He just wants to go around the world after retiring from the security office, to blow the free sea breeze and step on the free sea. He is very satisfied with his life now, and he wants to continue living like this. However, the sky fails to fulfill people's wishes. Qin Mo's slow breathing gradually became rapid, and his eyes became sharper. He slowly raised his right hand, and his 5 fingers slowly closed until they were clenched into a fist. 5 meters, 4 meters, 3 meters. It's now. Qin Mo disappeared from the spot in an instant, stepped over 3 meters in one step, and appeared in front of the man like a ghost, and activated his skills instantly. He raised his right fist high, a faint light shone on the peak of his fist, his skills were hardened and activated. The blood in his body was flowing at a high speed, and all the strength in his body was gathered in his right arm. Qin Mo aimed at his head and slammed it hard. Skill, deliberate punching, launch. He has no reservations about this punch. The tall man's pupils shrank sharply, and a strong breath of death enveloped him in an instant. He was like falling into an ice cellar, relying on his body's instinctive reaction to tilt his head back and dodge backwards. At the same time, he crossed his arms in front of his chest, and his torso and limbs were instantly indestructible like fine steel. This person is a D-level elemental awakener, and the element he controls is steel. The instinctive reaction of his body allowed him to maximize his defense, and in the next moment, Qin Mo's punch landed on his arms. Boom! There was a loud noise in the darkness, and the bones of the tall man's arms were instantly shattered, followed by his chest dented. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood, his body was like a torn sack, he fell heavily on the ground, and lost his vitality on the spot. Rao is refined steel, which is like paper paste. This is the power of his punch. In the dark night, there was a gust of cool wind, and a faint smell of blood permeated the air. Chin Mo stood there in a daze, slowly withdrew his fist, and widened his eyes. This is, dead. AD level elemental awakener who couldn't even hold a punch and died straight away. Chin Morin was dumbfounded. He knew that he was becoming stronger rapidly, but he never thought that he would be so strong. One punch can kill AD class, but those E class and F class in the building are still nothing. Just a bunch of little karamis. If he had known this, he would still be running a fart. Chapter 11. Suddenly one light spot in her mind disappeared, and Chen Lingling froze on the seat. That spot of light represents AD level elemental awakener. And the disappearance of the light spot means that the spiritual connection between her and that person has been broken. In short, he died. Chen Lingling's eyes widened. The backup plan had only been activated for less than a minute, and their main D-rank awakener died. At this moment, her face suddenly changed, and she said sharply, "Retreat. All retreat. There are high-level awakened people in the building." Before the words fell to the ground, she had already started the car engine, the tires rubbed against the ground, and there was a harsh sound, and the off-road vehicle sped out. At the same time, two more spots of light disappeared in her mind, and Chen Lingling's face became even more ugly. This action can be described as a complete failure. Instead of going to the building to meet other people, she drove directly out of the Imperial Hospital and merged into the traffic. And less than a minute after Chen Lingling left, countless sirens sounded, and dozens of black-armed vehicles appeared around the hospital, directly blocking it completely. The people from the security bureau finally arrived. They were faster than Chin Mo had imagined. 4 teams were dispatched from the security office, with a total of 30 awakened ones. Stairs on the right side of the building. Leopard and the other member of the Tiandawe lay quietly on the ground without breathing. Chin Mo walked down the corner of the stairs and heaved a sigh of relief. He already knew from the holographic vision that the support from the security bureau had arrived, so it was natural for them to take over. Chin Mo closed the holographic vision, went to Li Yuan and squatted down, looked at her pale face, and stretched out his hand to push a restless bang behind her ear. He turned on the perspective, scanned it carefully from top to bottom, skipped 2 towering peaks, and found that the bandage wrapped around Li Yuan's abdomen had been soaked red with blood. "It's really bad enough," Chin Mo said in a low voice, then stretched out his hands to wrap around her neck and legs, gently picked her up, and walked out the door. Just a few meters away, a gun was aimed at him in the dark, and several people came towards him quickly. "Chin Mo, the 7th group in the security department, one of our own." He hurriedly reported his identity, and then the opposite side put away the gun. After seeing Chin Mo holding the unconscious Li Yuan in his arms, he hurriedly sent them to another building of the Imperial Hospital and began to treat him. The battle ended quickly, taking only half an hour. If it weren't for the Tiandawe people jumping over the wall in a hurry and taking those innocent nurses and patients as hostages, it would have ended faster. At this time, in the corridor on the 3rd floor of another building. "Chin Mo." An urgent cry came to his ears. Chin Mo turned to look, and was hit by a delicate body. Su Yin hugged him, fumbled her hands up and down for a while, and said worriedly, "Are you okay? Let my sister see if there is any injury." A gust of fragrant wind rushed into the nostrils. Chin Mo took a deep breath, and secretly sighed in his heart. It turns out that there is really a D. He was still skeptical at first, but now he is completely convinced. In terms of broad-mindedness, Li Yuan is much worse than her, she even struggles with B. However, Li Yuan's advantage lies in his iceberg-like temperament and his long legs. The combination of these two things is a plus. "Sister Su, I just quietly ran downstairs with the team leader behind my back. I'm fine," Chin Mo said with a smile. His heart felt a little warm. He could tell that Su Yin was really worried about him. Hearing what he said, Su Yin let go of her hand, looked at him resentfully, and said in a strange way, "Oh, why didn't you think of running with me on your back? Sister Su just went down to buy food. If Sister Su was here, I would definitely go to carry Sister Su first," Chin Mo said while pulling her to sit on the bench in the corridor, patting his chest. Su Yin rolled her eyes at him, curled her lips and said, "You can't believe a word of a man's smooth tongue. Then how about my sister treat me like a boy? You." Su Yin kicked him. Chin Mo didn't dodge, it didn't hurt anyway. He restrained his expression and asked, "How are the others in the group?" "Don't worry, there is nothing serious, it's just that the injury has worsened, and I'm afraid I'll have to lie in the hospital for a few more days." Although Wang Yan was seriously injured in bed and had no combat ability, Li Changfeng and the others were still able to fight. The four of them plus the other 3 people transferred from the department did not suffer any losses in the fight. But this mysterious organization is really arrogant. This time it caught 2 alive. I don't know if I can ask something. Su Yin's voice became softer and softer. She turned her head to look at Chin Mo, who fell asleep at one side, and slowly put him down, pillowing him on her lap. The sequelae of the skill thinking like a spring broke out at this time. Chin Mo needs enough sleep to refresh himself. Su Yin blinked her slender eyelashes, looked down at Chin Mo, her lips slowly curled into a seductive arc. After taking off her glasses, she's really getting more and more handsome every day. It's hard for my sister not to be tempted, she said softly with curved eyebrows. But then, Su Yin suddenly sighed, and murmured to herself, "Unfortunately, it would be nice if you were an awakened one." Outside the exit on the right side of the building, a thin man wearing glasses was squatting beside a corpse, and said slowly, "The torso of the deceased has been strengthened. He is a D-rank Steel Element Awakener. Judging from his wounds, he should have been killed in one blow." The 2 F ranks at the corner of the stairs also had the same cause of death, and the shooter should be the same person, at least he is a high-level awakened person above D rank. Quote. Limo listened quietly to his subordinate's analysis, and slowly frowned. As the director of the security department, he has been devastated by this heaven and earth society recently, but he didn't expect that there would be an unknown high-level awakener under his jurisdiction. Fortunately, judging from the current situation, this person is not in the same group as the Tiandawei. This is the only piece of good news that reassures him. Director, this person's rank is unknown, and his affiliation is unknown. Do we need to ask the intelligence department to check on this person's information? The thin man asked. Hearing this, Limo pondered for a while, and then said, "No need, the intelligence department can't even check out their own people, so you expect them to do this kind of thing. Besides, he saved my little sister's life tonight, and he is close to our Li family, so it would be bad if he went to investigate his details rashly and make him unhappy. This kind of powerful high-level awakener, if given the chance, can win him into the clan." Quote. The little girl he was talking about was naturally Li Yuan. The Li of the 2 is not an ordinary Li, but the Li of Qingyang Li family, a 1,000-year-old family. As I said before, the director of the Security Bureau is the current head of the Li family, so the Security Bureau is also equivalent to the back garden of the Li family in Qingyang. Such an important position as the chief must be held by the children of the clan. Seeing him mentioning the Li family, the thin man immediately changed his tone. He adjusted his glasses and asked, "My lord, the young lady was able to escape the attack this time, and her subordinate Chin Mo in the 7th group has also made a contribution." Chin Mo, an awakener. His father is an F-rank awakened person in the security department. As for him, he is just an ordinary person. The thin man replied. "Oh, that's it, then in my personal name, reward him with 200,000 yuan. Limo said lightly, and immediately put the matter behind him. Since he is not an awakener, there is nothing to care about. 200,000, which is equivalent to the deposit left by Chin Mo's father. With his current salary of 6,000 yuan per month, he only needs to work in the security office for 3 years without eating or drinking to earn the 200,000 yuan. For the vast majority of ordinary people living in the imperial capital, it can definitely be regarded as a fortune, but in the eyes of these 1,000-year-old families, money, just a bunch of useless numbers. Even an F-level awakened person like Li Changfang can easily spend this money, let alone an ancient family with a large number of high-level awakened people. The gap between people, circles and circles, class and class is undoubtedly revealed at this moment. But at this moment, Chin Mo still didn't know that his bank card had quietly increased by 200,000 yuan. Of course, even if he knew, he wouldn't care, he would just smile cheerfully, and then go to have a good meal after get off work in the evening. As for Chin Mo now, he is still sitting by the familiar window, the scorching sun shines on his body, turning into solar energy in some unknown way. He is in very good spirits now. After getting enough sleep last night, the sequelae of his brain overload caused by his skills and thoughts have all disappeared. Recalling yesterday's battle, Chin Mo had a relatively clear understanding of his current strength. When he killed a D-level awakened person with a single punch, he was really a stunned group, and he never thought that he had grown to such a degree. Moreover, when Chin Mo faced the enemy last night, he almost verified all the attributes and strengths he had enhanced since he consciously awakened the superhuman gene. Some time ago, I added some sun every day, and the results were quite impressive. This is just the beginning, and we will continue to work hard. The Tiandaway is a big problem. The iceberg hidden under the lake may be huge. 11 awakened people were randomly mobilized, including a D-class, and, more than that. At that time, the whole building was in total darkness. I was able to see at night and my movements were unhindered, but why was the other party able to do this? Chin Mo began to review last night from the bottom of his heart. His intelligence is now as high as 8 points. Not only has his analytical ability been improved, but his memory has also been greatly enhanced. From the moment the power was cut off, the scenes that happened last night replayed in his mind like a movie replay. The opponent's target seems to be the team leader from the beginning, and they have been able to clearly lock their positions. This should be a certain ability of the awakened one. So, the mimic system or the elemental system. Chin Mo frowned slightly, then slowly shook his head, obviously neither of these two. With all possibilities ruled out, the truth emerges. Spiritual department. Only the rarest and most mysterious spiritual awakener can have this kind of ability similar to his holographic vision. He guessed that outside the building at that time, there must have been another spiritual awakened person supporting remotely. Looking at it this way, the Heaven and Earth Society actually mobilized a total of 12 awakened ones. Really unusual. Just through some clues, Chin Mo guessed the existence of Chen Lingling, but there was still one thing he couldn't figure out. That is, why did Tiandaway attack the team leader? What is their motivation? Chin Mo's gaze naturally turned to Li Yuan lying on the hospital bed, and saw her faint black eyebrows were slightly frowned, revealing a hint of pain. Before the abdominal wound healed much, it was torn a second time, and the original scheduled discharge time would be delayed for a few days. At this moment, Li Yuan's eyelashes fluttered slightly, and he stretched his eyelids with great effort. Seeing this, Chin Mo was startled, then hurriedly got up to get her a cup of warm water, and sat down beside her bed. Li Yuan propped himself up on his arms, ready to get up and drink some water, but Chin Mo suddenly said, "Leader, just lie down, I have this." I saw him open the drawer on the side, and then took out a straw from it. Li Yuan was stunned. She watched Chin Mo carefully tore open the cover, inserted the straw into the cup, brought it to her mouth, and then took out a pillow to put it behind her head. When did he prepare these? Li Yuan thought to himself, while sucking on the straw with his mouth, his throat slowly rolling. Chin Mo didn't speak, just holding the water glass. He didn't really think much about it, he just saw it while drinking soy milk in the morning, thought of it by chance and brought it back. The glass of water was quickly drunk, and the doctor also entered the ward at this time, and Limo came in with him. Chin Mo recognized him at a glance. He still knew the director of the security department and his boss's boss. Although, during the year he entered the security bureau, he only met Limo by chance a few times. "Hello, director," Chin Mo said as he got up. Limo hummed lightly, and then said, "You are Chin Mo, right? You did a good job last night. This is what I should do. The team leader is in danger. Those of us who are team members will never run away," Chin Mo said righteously. In his previous life, he had struggled in the society for many years. If these scenes were said, wouldn't he just open his mouth? Bold and cautious, calm in times of crisis, and emphasizing love and righteousness. If the security bureau has a subordinate like you, why not clean up the dregs in the sewers? Work hard, the future is bright. Quote, Limo was not stingy with his words of encouragement to Chin Mo, but he immediately said, "Leader Li and I still have some confidential matters to discuss, you should go out first." As the director of the security department, and a high-level awakened person himself, it is considered pretty good for him to be able to speak a few words to an ordinary person like Chin Mo. If it weren't for his performance last night, these 2 sentences would not have been said. The doctor's daily checkup also ended at this time. Chinmo didn't say anything, nodded and said yes, and then left behind the doctor. Before leaving, he carefully closed the door behind him. The conversation between the director of the security department and the team leader must not be heard by an ordinary team member. Chinmo understood very well. As he walked towards the outside of the hospital, preparing to change to another place to bask in the sun, he silently opened the holographic vision. In an instant, the entire building was enveloped. After eliminating useless information, Limo's voice slowly entered his ears. ... In the ward, Limo stood at the end of the bed with his hands behind his back, looking at her calmly. Li Yuan's face was also calm. The 2 looked at each other silently, neither of them spoke first. The air seemed to be slowly stagnating, gradually creating a trace of pressure. After a long time, Limo finally broke the silence and said, "Little sister, go back to the family, it's too dangerous outside." Hee. Li Yuan twitched the corners of his mouth, his eyes were extremely cold. Seeing this, Limo sighed, and said helplessly, "If it wasn't for your luck this time, you would lose your life, why are you bothering? The imperial capital is not as simple as it seems on the surface, and the various forces are intertwined. You have been playing outside for 2 years, and you should have had enough." Quote. "Limo, if you want to say these things, you can go out now." Li Yuan finally said the first sentence. "Little sister, I'm doing this for your own good." Limo spread his hands. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Yuan's sneer suddenly sounded. She looked straight at Limo, and asked, "For my own good? My dear brother, the first thing you said when you came in was to ask me to be in the Wei family, and you didn't even ask how my injury was. Are you doing it for my own good?" Quote. The irony in the words is very obvious. Limo was silent, he opened his mouth, but he still didn't speak in the end. So what if the imperial capital is dangerous? Do I want to go back to the clan and become a tool for marriage, a vase that can only be seen? Hey, I like my current life very much, even if it is dangerous. Quote. Little sister, you know that we don't have this idea. Father will fully respect your wishes and will never force you. Limo explained. But Li Yuan just looked at him indifferently, and said, whether you have this idea, you all know in your heart, don't come to interfere with my life, I'm going to rest, go out. Little sister, we are all a family, why make the relationship so rigid? Get out, Li Yuan said coldly, then you should rest and recuperate first. Afterwards, Limo pushed the door out, and Li Yuan was left alone in the ward. She looked at the faint sunset glow outside the window, wondering what she was thinking. Chin Mo was stunned. He originally thought that the two of them were going to talk about the Tiandaway, but who would have thought that they would hear a drama about family ethics? The director of the security department and the leader of the 7th group are actually siblings. Chin Mo has never heard any rumors about this news, and it is obviously a little secret. Family, marriage, security department of security bureau, Limo and Li Yuan are both surnamed Li. His eyes widened, and an ancient family suddenly popped up in his mind. 1,000-year-old family, the Qingyang Li family. Li Yuan actually has this kind of relationship. It is said that the security bureau is the back garden of the Li family in Qingyang. I did not expect it to be so. Chin Mo has only now seen the influence of the Li family. However, the team leader seems to be very rebellious. Chin Mo thought this way in his heart, now he seems to have accidentally learned a little secret of Li Yuan again. The last secret was that she soaked her feet in the small office every day. As expected of the team leader, Chin Mo said with emotion, suddenly his heart moved, and a warm current flowed through his body. Energy points, 13, freely assignable. Today's light energy points have been accumulated again, as usual, adding 2 points to vision, strength, and speed, and then adding 5 points to breathing and 2 points to recovery for the remaining 7 points. These 2 are his weak attributes, especially recovery, which has only 1 point so far. As the warm current flows through the whole body, the body begins to change. Breathing, 7, awakening skill, turtle breath. Vision, 17, awakening skill, thermal imaging. Chin Mo raised his brows. It is normal for his breathing to reach the threshold, but he did not expect that with the addition of vision, he would reach the second threshold and awaken a new skill. This was a real surprise. However, if you think about it carefully, it makes sense. Chin-mo has always been greedy for Superman's thermal vision, so he basically didn't miss the enhancement of his vision. Every time you accumulate enough light energy points, you will always add 2 or 3 points to your vision. Unknowingly, his eyesight has reached 17, second only to the power of 19. As for the newly awakened skill thermal imaging, as the name suggests, it can use the different values of the temperature of each part of the human body to judge the state of the other party. Moreover, the temperature display also allows him to see other people's actions more intuitively and clearly. Chin-mo couldn't do this before. After the holographic vision was opened, although the coverage range was a full 200 meters, he couldn't see so far. The movement in the distance is basically judged by the skill radar. The new skills make up for this very well. With a thought in his mind, Chin-mo prepared to use his skills to try out the effect of thermal imaging. But who knew, the Superman gene awakening panel suddenly changed, and the thermal image in the skill bar slowly disappeared. How is this going? Chin-mo was puzzled, but soon, he thought of a certain possibility. I saw him activating the holographic vision again, covering the entire hospital building. The medical staff, patients, and the awakened people from the security department immediately appeared before his eyes. But what Chin-mo saw was a completely different picture. All objects with a temperature exceeding -273 degrees Celsius, whether biological or not, are marked with different colors. Sure enough, the new vision skills have been integrated into the holographic vision, and Chin-mo raised the corner of his mouth and murmured, it actually evolved from black and white to color. After the skills are fused, it will become more convenient to display, which is of course a good thing. As he thought about it, he eliminated useless things, leaving only the people in the building. Who is lying on the hospital bed, who is walking in the corridor, whether the left foot or the right foot is first. Chin-mo can now clearly see all these subtleties. And these are not the real uses of this skill. Chin-mo eliminated the ordinary people again, leaving only the awakened ones. There are altogether 18 awakened people in the building, and their positions are scattered at this time, guarding important places such as wards, stairs, and elevators. Although there is a high probability that Tiandawe will not organize a second surprise attack in a short period of time, the necessary defense is still to be done. No matter how rebellious Li Yuan is, she is still the eldest lady of the Li family in Qingyang. And the thermal imaging of these awakened people is very different from that of ordinary people. Among them, there are 10 people's arms, showing very obvious colors. Among the remaining 8 people, apart from their arms, 5 people's lower limbs are also very bright in color, and there are 2 other people whose torso is not badly different from their limbs. F-level awakeners can strengthen the arms, E-level awakeners can strengthen the lower limbs, and D-level awakeners can strengthen the torso. Looking back on the information of the awakened ones, Chin-mo easily distinguished the respective levels of these people. And before he killed the D rank with one punch last night, he couldn't tell what level he was, but now it's different. Today's Chin-mo doesn't need to distinguish the strength of the heartbeat, but can easily know who is the awakened one. He looked at Li Yuan in the ward, and saw that nearly half of her torso had a stronger color than the other half. Chin-mo was thoughtful. It seems that the team leader is not far from being promoted to D rank. He still doesn't know how the awakened person advanced, after all, he is different from others. And among the 18 awakened people in the building, there is the last one, who is also different from other awakened people. That is, director of the security department, Limo. Chin-mo looked away, and a crimson human figure appeared in front of him. From head to toe, every part of his body showed strong colors. Obviously, Limo is extremely powerful, he is a high-level awakener. Chin-mo looked down at himself again, his whole body was also red. He thought to himself, I have always developed in an all-round and balanced way, and it is natural to have such a thermal image, but I didn't expect the director to be like this. What is the grade of the director? C grade or B grade? Or, grade A? Quote. The only thing Chin-mo can be sure of is that Limo is definitely not S rank. Because of his S rank status and terrorist strength, it is absolutely impossible for him to be a small director in the security bureau. However, his authority is not enough, and he cannot see the information of awakened people above D level. Limo quickly left the coverage of the holographic vision. After Chin Mo tried a wave, he closed the vision and looked at the new skill. He also added 5 points to the breath this time. After all, Superman's breath is also a very powerful means of output. Blowing a breath can freeze people into ice cubes, and even blow out a star directly. Of course, the current Chin Mo is still far away from being a real Superman. And Chin Mo just awakened the skill turtle breath, which can make him have a stronger heart and lung ability. As the lungs take in more oxygen, the heart pumps better and the organs and muscles work better. In short, Chin Mo's endurance has been greatly improved. He pushed as much air out of his lungs as possible, then took a deep breath. Immediately afterwards, Chin Mo held his breath and ran from the hospital to his home. He deliberately slowed down, and got stuck for an hour just to get home, and only when he stood behind the door of the house did he start to breathe. I can hold my breath for an hour now, Chin Mo said to himself, and at the same time took out the key from his pocket to open the door. He doesn't need to watch the night tonight. The other 2 ordinary people in the 7th group will take turns. Chin Mo can wait until tomorrow. No words all night. The next afternoon, Chin Mo sat beside the hospital bed, holding a water glass in his hand, with a straw inserted into the glass, and the other end of the straw was in Li Yuan's mouth. She has been drinking water like this all day today and seems to be in love with straws. In fact, Chin Mo really wanted to complain. Team leader, you are only injured in the abdomen. Can't you still move your arms and hands? But he was just talking in his heart. Li Yuan was his team leader after all. That night, thank you, Li Yuan said suddenly. Hearing this, Chin Mo was taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect Li Yuan to thank him. This was really caught off guard. You're welcome, ahem, you really don't have to be so ignorant, team leader. Chin Mo scratched his head. If it wasn't for you, I would have to wait on the bed to die. Thank you as much as you want. Li Yuan gave him a cold look, as if she had regained her usual indifference. It's a pity that Chin Mo now knows her 2 little secrets, and she has long been worthy of her disguise. All right, how is the team leader going to thank me? Chin Mo asked as he put down his water glass. When he asked this question, Li Yuan stopped him. Thank you. Isn't a verbal thank you enough? It seems that it is not enough. Li Yuan was dumbfounded. She hadn't considered this level at all. At this moment, meeting Chin Mo's eyes, her eyes showed a trace of panic. Then, let me treat you to a meal. Chin Mo followed closely and asked, when? Well, I'll go there when I get out of the hospital. Her calm face concealed a bit of embarrassment. Okay, the team leader has to keep his word. Chin Mo smiled, and then he got up and said, Team leader, rest, I'll go to the cafeteria to buy food for you. After finishing speaking, he ran out of the ward without giving Li Yuan any time to react. Li Yuan stared at his back in a daze, the corners of his eyes were slightly startled. She has grown up so much, it seems that she hasn't taken the initiative to invite someone of the opposite gender to dinner. Walking on the road of the Imperial Hospital, the corners of Chin Mo's mouth inadvertently curled up slightly. The team leader's temperament is obviously not that cold. His eyes quietly focused on his eyes, and the awakening panel opened. Eyesight, 17. Listening, 8. Intelligence, 8. Breaths, 7. Strength, 19. Speed, 14. Recovery, 3. Defense, 7. Skills, holographic vision, perspective, radar, thermal imaging, deliberate punching, instant step, spring of thought, hardening, tortoise's breath. Light energy points, 14. Freely assignable. Seeing that the skill column was full, the corners of Chin Mo's mouth raised another 3 points. However, the light energy points accumulated today need to be carefully considered. He thought about it, and took out 4 points to add to recovery, and the heat flow covered his whole body again. Recovery, 7. Awakening skill, rapid healing. The recovery reached the threshold, which was expected by Chin Mo. Up to now, his various attributes have awakened skills at least once, and his strength has been greatly improved. Rapid healing. After being injured, it can heal quickly in a very short period of time, whether it is external injury or internal injury. Extremely short time. How short is it? Chin Mo frowned slightly. After thinking about it, he went to the nearest building to find a scalpel, then stretched out his palm, and cut a 5 centimeters long wound with a little force. Chin Mo's current defense is as high as 7 points. If it was replaced by other people, it would be impossible for him to stab him. Only his own strength is strong, so he can do it. The blood quickly overflowed, and he activated the skill to heal quickly, staring at the palm of his hand and secretly counting. I saw that within 10 seconds, the blood had already congealed, and the palms of the hands were slightly itchy. After waiting for less than 10 seconds, the cut was gone, only slight marks. Chin Mo was a little taken aback. Is this the so-called extremely short time? The healing took less than 20 seconds, far beyond his imagination. Afterwards, he went to the bathroom to wash his hands, and when he came out, the faint mark was gone. Chin Mo carefully observed the palm of his hand, and he found that no matter how he looked at it, it seemed that the wound hadn't been cut just now. After the rapid healing skill is activated, even the original texture of the skin on the palm is exactly the same as before. With his current terrifying eyesight, he can't see the difference, so one can imagine how outrageous the healing is. The new skill is much stronger than what Chin Mo thought. Sure enough, the hexagonal warrior is not in vain, and he won't be afraid of getting hurt in the future. Chin Mo thought to himself, and then looked at the awakening panel. After recovering and adding 4 points, there are still 10 points left to distribute freely. Now his hearing and intelligence are 8 points, and his breathing and defense are 7 points, which is a bit worse than his vision and strength, which are about to reach 20 points. He finally decided to add 2 points to each of these 4 attributes, and the last 2 points were 1 point each for vision and strength as usual. As the warm current continued to flow through various parts of the body, a smile appeared on Chin Mo's face. He watched the gradually setting sun, put his hands behind his head, hummed a little song and left the hospital, walking towards home. The strength is getting stronger every day, this feeling is really great. At night, the evening breeze is cool. A black extended car without a license plate slowly stopped at the gate of a huge garden. The old housekeeper stooped to open the car door, a pair of shiny black leather shoes stepped on the ground, Limo got out of the car, and straightened his collar buttons. Young master just came back just right, madam just got ready for the dinner. The butler smiled just right. Uncle Lee, I know, I'll go now, Limo said lightly. Then, he stepped into the garden gate. This garden covers an extremely vast area, about 100 acres. In the imperial capital, where every inch of land is precious, only an ancient family can own such a private land. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of the family's thousands of years of horror heritage. Mother, I'm back. As soon as Limo finished speaking, a plump woman came out of the kitchen. There were faint wrinkles at the corners of the woman's eyes, and her eyebrows and eyes were somewhat similar to Limo's. Although she wore an apron around her waist, she still couldn't conceal the luxurious temperament on her body. As the current mistress of the Li family in Qingyang and the wife of the Duke of Qin, she naturally cannot be an ordinary woman. Xiao Mo, sit down first, I'm still making a soup. Okay, is father back? Limo asked. Not long after I came back, he is in the study on the 2nd floor. The woman's voice came from the kitchen. Then I'll go see my father first. After finishing speaking, Limo went up to the 2nd floor, stopped at the door of the study room, and knocked on the door lightly and respectfully 3 times. Come in, a slightly dignified voice came out. Only then did Limo open the door and go in, only to see a middle-aged man in high spirits sitting cross-legged on the ground, with a set of Go in front of him. On the chessboard, the black and white sides made their own moves, but there was no one on the opposite side of the man. He was obviously playing chess for himself. It's hard to imagine that this ordinary-looking middle-aged man is the current patriarch of the Li family in Qingyang, Li Guogong of Dakan, the director of the Security Bureau, and one of the few S ranks. With so many titles placed on one person, it is enough to see how high this person is and how terrifying his strength is. Come on, Xiao Mo, accompany me to the next game. Hearing this, Limo showed a wry smile, spread his hands and said, Father's chess skills are rare in the entire imperial capital, so my son will not ask for trouble. If your sister is here, with her unwillingness to admit defeat, she will definitely fight 3 rounds with me. Limo shook his head, and then asked, how is Xiao Yuan's injury? She still doesn't want to come back. Little sister is still the same, she still has misunderstandings about you, father. If you misunderstand, just misunderstand. After another 2 years, she will understand my painstaking efforts. While speaking, Limo dropped a black coin. Limo stood straight to the side, frowned and said, I am very worried about the safety of my little sister. This new world will be very courageous, or transfer my little sister to another department. She is staying at the security office now, and she will inevitably have to perform a mission which is too dangerous. Quote, you don't think that it will be fine if you transfer away? Limo said lightly. As soon as these words came out, Limo frowned even tighter, and said slowly, Father's meaning, could it be? This force called the Tiandawe is not an ordinary fish. They are not targeting the Security Bureau, but our Li family. Xiaomo, you have to know that the surname of the Security Bureau is Li from the Li family in Qingyang. Even if they are transferred away, there will still be troubles. It is better to stay in the Security Bureau, so that they can take care of them if something goes wrong. Quote, Limo landed another sunspot, and the situation on the board was clear at a glance, and the sunspot won. He looked at the chess game, got up slowly, turned to look at Limo, and said with a smile. Okay, let's go to dinner first. Don't talk about business at home, your mother will be upset. The next day, early morning, Qin got up and washed up, and then left the house. He ran 5 kilometers in the morning and got some sunshine in the morning. When it was about 7 o'clock, he was hungry, so he randomly found an early breakfast shop on the side of the road. Boss, a bowl of hot and spicy soup, 2 deep-fried dough sticks, 5 steamed buns, a package of salted soy milk, and a steamed bun. Okay. At this time, the shop was busy earlier, and the empty tables were all occupied. In desperation, Qin had no choice but to scan around, then walked to a table near the door, and said, I'm sorry, brother, let's fight for a table. Hearing this, Limo raised his head and glanced at him, slightly taken aback. Join the table, what a distant memory. The last time he shared a table with a stranger was at the age of 16, when he sneaked out of the imperial capital from his family to play wildly. Before I knew it, more than 30 years had passed. Limo felt emotional in his heart, then nodded with a smile and said, okay. Seeing that he agreed, Qin just sat down. He looked at this energetic middle-aged man, and found that he also ordered a bowl of spicy soup and 2 deep-fried dough sticks, but he only ordered 1 basket of steamed stuffed buns. Brother, you know the taste. Qin said suddenly. Limo smiled, and replied, if you don't drink spicy soup early, it is doomed to be a failed morning. Hiss, brother is right. Qin nodded hastily. While the two were chatting, Qin breakfast was served, and Limo looked at the stack of Lao Gao's 5 kg buns, and couldn't help but sigh. When I was young, my appetite was as big as yours. Brother, you are very powerful. My appetite is already 2 or 3 times that of ordinary people. Qin muttered while chewing on fried dough sticks. Haha, I can't do it now. When people get older, many things taste like crap, so I can't get tired of eating these roadside stalls. Limo's eyes drifted away, and he didn't know where his thoughts were flying. Brother, I think you are only 30 years old at most, and you are still in your prime, Qin said. Hearing this, Limo just smiled. If he wasn't S rank, he wouldn't look so young now, so he would naturally look different. Soon, Qin swept away the buns and fritters. He took out a tissue and wiped his mouth. After paying the bill, he said to Limo, thanks, brother, I'll go first. See you. Limo nodded with a smile, watching his back gradually disappear into the crowd. Today, I was very quiet and thought about moving, so I left the manor early in the morning and came to the streets of the imperial capital to take a look around. Unexpectedly, I met an interesting young man. Qin didn't think much about it. He didn't know that the person who shared the table with him just now was the director of the Security Bureau, and he was directly under the boss's boss. After all, the Security Bureau is so big, and Limo is in the top position. Even many awakened people have never met the director, let alone him, an ordinary member of the 7th team of the security department. After breakfast, he arrived at the Imperial Hospital not long after. Li Yuan was very satisfied with today's breakfast. Then, Qin stayed in the ward for a day as usual, and went to the cafeteria to buy lunch at noon. In the afternoon, he received a call from Su Yin, saying that he would take him to the shooting range to practice shooting tomorrow. Because of the matter of the Tiandaway, the protection of the security office has obviously been raised a few levels, and ordinary team members like them have to start carrying guns. Chin Mo readily agreed, and as soon as he hung up the phone, the familiar warmth reappeared. Light energy points, 12 freely assignable. According to the usual practice, he added 2 points to each of vision, strength, and speed, and then allocated the remaining points. But I never thought that when I added some strength, I would awaken a new skill. Strength, 22, awakening skill, fighting bulls across mountains. Strength is Chin Mo's strongest attribute now, 2 points higher than eyesight. A few days ago, the vision just awakened the second skill, and now the strength is not willing to lag behind, reaching a new threshold again. The new skill, hitting a bull across a mountain, can transmit power across a distance. This is obviously different from deliberate punching, and pays more attention to the penetrating power of power. After the latter punches, the strength is only limited to the contact surface between the fist and the opponent's body, so it can directly cause terrifying destructive power. But Geshin Danyu can directly attack the internal organs without causing damage to the surface of the body, just like an internal injury. This skill can play an unexpected role at the right time. At this time, there are still 6 light energy points available for allocation. Chin Mo looked at the illusory panel in front of him and carefully considered it. Vision, 20. Listening, 10. Intelligence, 10. Breaths, 9. Strength, 22. Speed, 16. Recovery, 7. Defense, 9. Skills, holographic vision, perspective, radar, thermal imaging, deliberate punching, instant steps, thoughts like springs, hardening, turtle's breath, rapid healing, and fighting cows across mountains. Light energy points, 6. He thought about it, and finally decided to add 3 points to intelligence and defense. The heat flowed into the brain quickly, and Chin Mo felt that his thinking became much more flexible immediately. His intelligence is now as high as 13 points, far surpassing that of ordinary people, and his memory is the most remarkable, reaching the level of photographic memory. In addition, the ability of analysis, deduction, calculation, etc. has also been greatly improved. Excellent intelligence can make Chin Mo a lot easier after activating the holographic vision, and its importance is self-evident. Afterwards, he returned home after having dinner outside. Li Yuan's injury healed very quickly, and he would be discharged from the hospital in 3 to 5 days. He no longer needed to stay by the bed at night. This kind of recovery speed can be described as quite fast, and Chin Mo guessed that it was related to the awakening of her torso. After all, she will be promoted from E rank to D rank soon. So, nothing to say all night. Early the next morning, Chin Mo had just washed up when the horn of a car rang downstairs. He leaned out the window and found that Su Yin was wearing sunglasses and driving a very cool red convertible, and it just parked at the door of his house. Seeing this, Chin Mo hurriedly changed his clothes and walked down in small steps. "Sister Su, did you come so early? The shooting range is far away, and it takes more than an hour to drive. Of course, you have to go early." "Oh." Chin Mo opened the car door and sat on the co-pilot. With the hum of the engine, the car quickly drove out of the street. While controlling the steering wheel, Su Yin said, "Little handsome guy, have you touched a gun before?" "When I first joined the security department last year, I had a short firearms training." Hearing this, Su Yin curled her lips and said disdainfully, "Cut, just the 7 days of half-baked training. I'm afraid I didn't recognize all the guns. When it's time to go to the shooting range, you should study hard. My sister is mainly here to teach you today." Quote, "Oh, then Sister Su wants to teach me hand in hand and mouth to mouth." Chin Mo bit harder on the word, mouth to mouth. Do you really think that my sister is so easy to take advantage of?" Su Yin is an old driver, and she can tell from her current driving skills, so she heard what he meant, and gave him a hard look through the sunglasses. The car drove very fast, and arrived at the shooting range in more than 40 minutes, much earlier than expected. The shooting range is open air, not indoors, so it was opened in a very remote corner of the imperial capital, close to the suburbs. It was only after Chin Mo entered the shooting range that he realized that the scale of the shooting range was very large and the facilities were complete. In addition to gun practice, there are wooden stakes, sandbags, field obstacle training, etc. It is a large training ground. Of course, his most astonishing discovery was the location of the shooting range. The terrain here is high, with a wide view, and there are no tall buildings around, but low buildings with 2 or 3 floors. In short, the lighting in the shooting range is extremely sufficient, even better than that of the Imperial Hospital. It seems that we can accumulate a lot of light energy points today. Just when Qin Mo was thinking this way, Su Yin's voice came from afar, calling him over. Qin Mo, get ready to start. Good. He walked to the table under the sun, on which were various guns, with 2 magazines next to them. Su Yin picked up a pistol, opened the safety, aimed the gun at the target with both hands, and said in her mouth at the same time. P-25, a semi-automatic pistol, uses 7.65 mm bullets, with an effective range of 70 meters and medium power. 1 magazine can hold 8 bullets. After the words fell, she pulled the trigger one after another, firing all the bullets in the magazine in one breath. When the bullet casing landed, there was a crisp sound in the air, and the faint smell of gunpowder smoke poured into Qin Mo's nostrils. 50-meter target, 79 rings. Su Yin's grades appeared on the monitor standing beside her. A smile slowly appeared on the corner of her mouth, and then she handed the pistol to Qin Mo. It seems that in the past few years after graduating from the military academy, my sister and my skills have not regressed. Nong, you can give it a try. Qin Mo took the pistol as he said, took out the magazine and reloaded a new one. At this time Su Yin stood beside him and said, "For a rookie like you, try to hit all the targets first." Hearing this, Qin Mo smiled again and said, "Sister Su, I have received firearms training." Su Yin was about to scorn her again, when gunshots suddenly sounded in her ears. Qin Mo emptied the magazine almost instantly, and the monitor beside him immediately displayed the result. 50 meters target, 80 rings. Clearly, the guns hit the bullseye. Su Yin looked at the eye-catching scarlet letter in disbelief, and her eyes widened. What the hell? But before she could think about it, Qin Mo switched to another gun, pulled the bolt and emptied the magazine again. 100 meters target, 100 rings. Afterwards, under Su Yin's stunned gaze, Qin Mo kept changing guns until he emptied all the bullets on the table, and then stopped. As for the results, except for a few shots that he deliberately missed, the rest were all accurate hits to the bull's eye. Shooting a gun is really not difficult for him now, just like a child playing house. Qin Mo, you. Su Yin froze in place, her body stiffened. She is a talented student who graduated from a military academy, and she dare not say that she can achieve such a result, but Qin Mo is a graduate of an ordinary institution of higher learning, and it is the first time to get started. How can this be? But the facts in front of her made it hard for her not to believe it. At this moment, a strong sense of frustration rose in Su Yin's heart, and she looked disappointed. Sister Su, what's the matter? Qin Mo asked. Hearing this, she finally came to her senses, glanced at Qin Mo faintly, and then said, "Okay, I didn't expect the handsome guy to hide his secrets." "It's nothing, luck, it's just good luck." Qin Mo scratched the back of his head and said modestly. Seeing this, Su Yin's expression became more and more resentful. "Okay, you don't need to practice the gun anymore, you can get it by yourself when you get back to the office." Afterwards, she found a shady place and began to lie down to pass the time. Seeing her like that, she was obviously deeply shocked. Qin Mo just smiled and said nothing, wandering around the training ground while basking in the sun. Not far away, he suddenly found a wooden stake for training in fighting. It's just a good time to try out the new skills that have just been awakened. Seeing that there was no one around, Qin Mo put several wooden stakes together and stood in front. He stretched out his fist against the surface of the stake, controlled his strength to a very low level, and then with a thought, the skill, beat the cow from the mountain, was activated quietly. Qin Mo's arm muscles exerted force suddenly, and then there was a soft pop in his ear. He withdrew his fist, turned on the perspective, and scanned several wooden stakes. A smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth. The first wooden pile was intact both inside and outside, but the internal structure of the next few wooden piles had been completely shattered, and dozens of cracks appeared on the surface. Qin Mo is very satisfied with this newly awakened skill. Time passed quickly, and Su Yin wanted to drive back directly, but Qin Mo told her that they were here anyway, so they might as well have lunch before leaving. So the two stayed for a long time, until the afternoon sun began to weaken, and they left the shooting range. Sitting on the co-pilot of the convertible sports car, Chinmo silently opened the awakening panel. Light energy points. 18, freely assignable. Hey, this is the most light energy points he has accumulated since he got the awakening panel. Now, all attributes can be improved again. With such rich points, there are many distribution plans. Chinmo pondered for a while, and first took out 6 points and evenly distributed them to hearing, breathing, and recovery, which are relatively weak attributes at present. Then, he added 3 points to vision, strength, speed, and defense. Speed, 19, awakening skill, ultimate sonic speed. The speed has actually reached the second threshold. Chinmo was a little surprised, and immediately began to check the newly awakened new skills. Limit speed of sound. Greatly increase the explosive power of the body, briefly break through the limit of the original speed, and reach the speed of sound at the fastest. In other words, Chinmo can run 340 meters in 1 second after using this skill and letting go of his speed. Do a very simple arithmetic problem, then he can run 20 kilometers in 1 minute. Of course, to be able to reach the speed of sound at the fastest, 20 kilometers is only an ideal state, but it is scary enough. Chinmo's limit speed has surpassed that of an airplane, and it is far faster than the sports car he is sitting in now. Short-term breakthrough. I don't know how long this short-term refers to. He thought so in his heart, but unfortunately now is not the right time, so he can only try it when he gets home. Su-yin drove very fast, and the two arrived at the door of Chinmo's house in no time. Little handsome guy, do you want to change the game with my sister and go to the bar for a drink? Su-yin asked lazily. Hearing this, Chinmo shook his head with a smile, and replied, Sister Su, let's forget about it today, and I will definitely do it next time. What, are you afraid that your sister will eat you? I'm not a tigress. I'm afraid that my sister will be eaten by me. I'm not a sage and gentleman, so it's hard to control me. Chinmo glanced at her chest. Oh, my sister can't wait for her. I'll see you at the hospital tomorrow. Although she said so, Su-yin had already started the engine, and the roar of the engine sounded, and she drove away into the distance. She has always been like this. She likes to say hello. Chinmo has been with her for a long time, how could he not understand her temperament? After Su-yin left, Chinmo didn't open the door to go home. He walked to a remote and uninhabited corner, and then with a thought, the limit speed of sound was activated immediately. Seeing a white shadow flash past, he had already rushed out of Guanghong Street. 5 seconds later, Chinmo's speed gradually increased to the limit, infinitely close to the speed of sound, and Baiyun District was left behind by him. 15 seconds later, the building of the security bureau appeared in front of his eyes, and 10 miles almost passed by in a flash. Chinmo didn't stop. He passed the security bureau and continued to run forward. It wasn't until another 20 seconds passed that his speed slowly slowed down. Pinch the head and tail. The maintenance time of the limit speed of sound is about 35 seconds, enough to run 20 miles. This speed is very scary. In the future, if we continue to increase the speed, the maintenance time of the limit speed of sound can also be increased, but for now, this time is enough. Chinmo said in a low voice. Then he raised his head and looked around, and found that he had come to Lingyun District, which is to the north of the imperial capital. Compared with the Baiyun District where he lives, the living standard in Lingyun District is much better. Many people from the upper class will choose to settle here. Chinmo rarely came here before, but since he came this time, he simply decided to take a stroll before going back. Anyway, it only takes half a minute to go home now. As he walked down the street, he took out his mobile phone from his pocket, ready to see what high-rated restaurants were around. After looking around, Chinmo couldn't help but click his tongue. It's really expensive. Forget about going to a high-end restaurant, it's too extravagant. It's better to find a small restaurant on the side of the road, especially since his appetite is bigger than before. Walking around, Chinmo came to a lake, and the sun that was about to set did not hesitate to cast a faint afterglow on the lake. The evening wind blows, the water ripples, and it looks very beautiful. The corners of Chinmo's mouth turned up slowly, and his heart suddenly became peaceful. He simply walked slowly along the lakeside like those young men and women, enjoying this rare leisure time. After walking around the lake for half a circle, he suddenly saw a familiar figure not far away, sitting by the lake and fishing. Relying on his extraordinary memory, Chinmo quickly remembered who this was. He walked up to the man, greeted him with a smile. "Brother, what a coincidence, I didn't expect to meet you here again." Hearing the sound, Limo turned his head to look, and found that it was Chinmo who shared the table with him yesterday morning. He twitched his eyebrows, nodded with a smile and said, "Young man, we are really destined. Where in life do we not meet each other? Hey, my brother is biting the bait." Chinmo said hastily. "I saw the fishing rod shaking violently, obviously a big fish had been hooked." Limo's expression moved, and with a light flick of his wrist, he immediately pulled the big fish out of the water, and Chinmo, who was standing aside, quickly picked up the fishing net next to him. Under the tacit cooperation of the two, this unlucky big fish naturally cannot have any chance of escape. "I think this fish must weigh 20 catties, bro, you are lucky tonight," Chinmo said. Hearing this, the smile on the corner of Limo's mouth became more and more intense. "He is in a very good mood now. Have you eaten, brother?" "Not yet." "That's just right, I didn't eat it, why don't I go eat something together?" Limo asked with a smile. Chinmo nodded, and said naturally, "That's good, how about going to have a barbecue?" "It's all right. Soon, there will be an outdoor barbecue stall somewhere." The strong smell of charcoal grilled smoke poured into the nostrils. Chinmo and Limo sat opposite each other, and the table was already full. A plate of peanuts, 60 lamb skewers, 5 skewers of leeks, 5 kidneys, and a grilled fish. In addition, there was a case of beer at Chinmo's feet. "Brother, let's go first." He lifted the draft beer cup, touched it with Limo, and then drank it all in one go. The same is true for Limo, not to be outdone. After drinking for 3 rounds, the relationship between the two unknowingly got closer. Chinmo asked, "Brother, do you live near here?" Limo nodded and said with a smile, "Yes, what about you, little brother?" "I live in Baiyun district. I got off work early today, so I came here for a stroll. I didn't expect to meet my brother by chance," Chinmo said while filling him. "It's really a coincidence. I'm usually very busy with work, and I rarely have time to relax. These 2 days are also because I have a lot of things to deal with, and my mind is restless, so I want to go out and look around." Hearing this, Chinmo nodded, and said, "It's very important to combine work and rest. You must be tired from working hard all the time. Brother, you need to relax." Limo shook his head and said, "It's not just about work, it's more about family matters." "Family?" Chinmo looked puzzled. "Well, I have a lot of family members and relatives." Limo smiled. Chinmo didn't think too much, but said, "Then this is really troublesome, but brother, you should be more careful, every family has hard to recite scriptures. The most important thing is to maintain a mentality. Come on, let's go one more time." Quote. After drinking a few bottles of beer, the topic gradually opened up, and the atmosphere became heated. "Little brother, you seem to have nothing to worry about." Limo raised his glass and said, "This is my typical mentality. Although I am not particularly rich, but fortunately, my work is relatively easy and I have a lot of leisure time. I am living a pretty good life now, and I am quite satisfied. As a human being, as long as you are content, you can actually live a very happy life." Quote. Chinmo leaned on the chair, crossed his legs, looked at the rows of blue and purple neon lights on the side of the road, and his thoughts gradually drifted to the distance. But after hearing his words, Limo was silent. After a long time, he brought up a glass of wine and said solemnly, "Regardless. Haha, I also respect this beautiful world." Chinmo responded. The wine glasses touched each other, and the two looked at each other and smiled. Suddenly there was a hazy feeling that they had known each other for so long. "Brother, I'll leave you a phone number. If I have time, I can make an appointment for a few drinks." Can. Limo did not refuse, and generously gave his personal phone number. He admired this young man who had only met twice. In Chinmo, he seemed to see some shadows of himself when he was young. As for how precious and important this call is, it goes without saying. Looking at the entire docken, there are no more than 2 hands who are eligible to have the contact information of the current patriarch of the Li family in Qingyang. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly. The self-disciplined Chin Mo got up early, and the alcohol last night had no effect on him at all. He went to the kitchen to make a cup of milk and oatmeal to fill his stomach first, then went out and went to the breakfast shop to eat 5 baskets of buns before walking towards the hospital. Although Chin Mo could reach the Imperial Hospital in half a minute now, he still chose to run slowly. The morning sun is not so hot, but it can't be wasted, it's better to absorb a little more. Soon, he arrived at the hospital. After seeing Li Yuan in the ward, he handed her the breakfast he had brought. Li Yuan's injury is recovering very well, and her normal activities are no longer affected, and it is estimated that she will be discharged from the hospital within 2 days. However, although she is in the hospital, she is still a patient, but she has already started to deal with work matters. The Security Bureau has suffered such a big loss, and there must be a big move next. It is impossible to let the world act so recklessly. It's just that the insider in the intelligence office has not been found out so far, and it feels a bit impossible to start. Now the enemy is dark and we are clear, which is quite detrimental to the Security Bureau. While Li Yuan was dealing with work, Chin Mo tactfully left the ward, changed to a place with better sunlight, and continued to bask in the sun. Of course, now Li Yuan doesn't need him to take care of her all the time. Basking in the sun like this until the afternoon, Chin Mo thought that his day of paid fishing would end like this, but he was suddenly called over by a male colleague from the 7th group. In a large ward on the 2nd floor, except for Wang Yan, the remaining 4 F-level awakened people in the 7th group are all here. In addition, there are 3 F levels from other groups, and they have a lot of contacts with Li Chengfeng and the others on weekdays, and they are acquaintances. After Chin Mo entered the ward, he glanced around briefly and asked, "What's the matter?" Hearing this, Li Chengfeng, who was sitting by the window, stopped talking, turned his head to look at him, and said indifferently, "We are going to have a gathering here tonight, you go out to buy some vegetables and get a few bottles of good wine. It's yours." As he spoke, he took out $1,000 from his pocket. "I was going to buy something." Chin Mo walked over to put the money in his pocket, then turned and left without talking to Li Chengfeng and the others. The circle is different, so there is no need to force it. In the entire 7 groups, only Li Yuan has the same attitude towards everyone, and she will not look down on you just because you are not an awakened person. However, Li Chengfeng and the others are different. Seeing Chin Mo's back gradually disappearing from sight, one of the 3 people from the other team suddenly looked playful and asked, "Is this the guy who was with team leader Li that night?" "Well, it's him," Li Chengfeng said lightly. "I've heard people say that if he hadn't been in danger and left the ward with team leader Li, it's very likely." Lu Yongchuan didn't continue to speak, but everyone present knew what he meant. Without Chin Mo, Li Yuan would most likely be murdered. As soon as the words came out, another person from the 7th group immediately took over the conversation, snorted coldly and said, "Chin Mo, he's not even an awakener, so what good can he do? If Brother Li hadn't brought us a few of us who fought hard regardless of our injuries to block most of the Tiandui's attack that night, what would have happened to Chin Mo? Hey, if it comes to credit, Brother Li should be the first one." Quote. When the words fell to the ground, the other people in the 7th group immediately nodded in agreement. Li Chengfeng didn't speak at this time, he didn't comment on this matter. However, is it not an attitude not to speak? That night, whether Chin Mo was really as they said he was in danger, and whether he saved Li Yuan or not, in his opinion, he didn't care at all. An ordinary person who has no power and is not an awakened person will never appear in his vision. Even if the 2 of them work together in the same place every day, they are not from the same world. This is invisible class superiority. Brother Chengfeng's strength, I quite recognize it. Lu Yongchuan didn't continue that topic. He also felt that an ordinary person had nothing to talk about. If he hadn't got involved with Li Yuan, he wouldn't have noticed Chin Mo at all. By the way, Brother Chengfeng is about to advance to E level, right? Lu Yongchuan asked suddenly. Hearing this, Li Chengfeng's expression finally changed, and the corner of his mouth raised a faint smile. "Within half a month, I'm sure to progress to E rank." Hiss. Half a month. Brother Chengfeng is really young and promising. Lu Yongchuan's eyes were full of envy. Brother Li can take care of his brothers more in the future. Extremely extreme. Brother Li advanced to E level, and his status is not the same. The few of us are also very lucky. The atmosphere in the room immediately became active, and everyone gathered around Li Changfeng, saying beautiful words one by one. At this moment, he is the center of the circle, enjoying the envious eyes of everyone. On the other hand, Qin Mo didn't know that he was mentioned by several people just now. He didn't eavesdrop on the conversation of a few people, it's nothing interesting. After leaving the ward, he left the hospital in a hurry, found a nearby restaurant and ordered some food and drinks, spending a total of more than 800 yuan. According to what Li Changfeng said, the rest should be considered as his errand expenses. Of course, Qin Mo put it in his pocket unceremoniously. Don't want it for nothing, it's just enough for him to eat tonight. He doesn't care about running errands for the awakened. Anyway, it's just doing some chores, and most of the time is idle fishing. This kind of work is already quite good. Afterwards, Qin Mo took the food and wine back to the hospital, put them on the door, knocked on the door, turned around and left, and went up to the 3rd floor. After asking Li Yuan what he would like to have for dinner, Qin Mo went to the cafeteria with Su Yin. He had just stepped out of the hospital building when a familiar warm current suddenly appeared in his body. The corner of Qin Mo's mouth raised inadvertently, and he focused his eyes on his eyes, and opened the awakening panel. Eyesight, 23. Listening, 12. Intelligence, 13. Breaths, 11. Strength, 25. Speed, 19. Recovery, 9. Defense, 15. Skills, holographic vision, perspective, radar, thermal imaging, deliberate punching, instant steps, thoughts like springs, hardening, turtle's breath, rapid healing, beating cows across mountains, extreme speed of sound. Light energy points, 14, freely assignable. The skill column is already full. Qin Mo didn't think much about it, and followed the usual practice, adding 2 points to each of vision, strength, and speed, and the warmth quickly flowed through the whole body. Then, he added 3 points to recovery and 5 points to defense, just as the distribution ended. Defense, 20, awakening skill, Man of Steel. Qin Mo's eyes lit up immediately, and his defense finally reached the 2nd threshold. Strong defense is a very important attribute. If the enemy can't even break through your defense, then from a certain point of view, you are invincible. The first skill Qin Mo awakened on defense was hardening, which can temporarily increase the defense of a certain part of the body after activation, which can be understood as partial defense. The new skill Man of Steel is the overall defense of the whole body, which is more powerful than hardening, and it can be regarded as an advanced version. After activating the skill, the skin on the surface of the body will be harder than steel, even the armor-piercing bullets dedicated to sniper rifles cannot penetrate. Of course, although Qin Mo's current defense is strong, it is not omnipotent. The defense is only 20 points, and there is still a long way to go before the body resists the missile. We still need to continue to absorb solar energy and accumulate light energy points. Qin Mo thought to himself, and then quietly activated the iron body. He raised his hands and checked it over and over carefully, and found that outwardly, there was no change after activating the skill. But when he squeezed his fingers and poked the skin of his palm, he could feel a very obvious sense of obstruction, even if he exerted some strength. Afterwards, Qin Mo slowly clenched his hands tightly, and then slowly opened them, making sure that the hardening of the skin would not affect his normal actions. Seeing this, Qin Mo's eyes lit up again, and a faint smile appeared on his face. This new skill seems to be quite useful so far. What are you doing? Su Yin's doubtful voice suddenly sounded beside her, and at the same time, she raised her finger, aimed at Qin Mo's head, and knocked. However, Qin Mo hadn't put away his skills yet. Hearing an ouch, Su Yin withdrew her arm abruptly. She rubbed her fingers, her pretty face seemed to have turned into a bitter persimmon, the pain was so painful that she almost burst into tears. Qin Mo looked at her in astonishment, removed the iron body calmly, and hurriedly asked, "Sister Su, are you all right?" Su Yin did not speak. She felt as if she had been knocked on a rock just now. The knuckles were already red and seemed to be slightly swollen. She rubbed her teeth for a long time before she felt better. "I said, is your brain made of iron?" Su Yin looked up at Qin Mo with a look of resentment on her face. "Ahem, it should be that you, Sister Su, used more strength, and..." Qin Mo spread his hands and said, "The skull is the hardest bone in the human body." "Yeah." Su Yin looked suspicious. She thought that she didn't use much strength just now. Could it be that she subconsciously used a heavy hand? She couldn't figure it out. How could a normal person swell their brains and swell their fingers? But apart from this, there seems to be no other explanation. She didn't think about Chinmo. She had fought like this before, but nothing happened. Today is really strange. However, it was Chinmo's fault anyway. HMPH, you have a treat tonight. Okay. Chinmo rubbed his nose and readily agreed. After all, it was his own fault. Afterwards, the two continued to walk towards the cafeteria. This was just an episode that happened at night. The food in the cafeteria of the Imperial Hospital is not expensive. Although Su Yin said she asked him to treat him, she didn't even spend 100 yuan on him. After dinner, on the way home, Chinmo suddenly received a call from Limo. Limo invited him to go fishing tomorrow afternoon, and the two of them would have another dinner together. He thought about it, confirmed that there was nothing to deal with tomorrow, and agreed immediately. So, nothing to say all night. The next afternoon, the two still met at the old place, by the lake in Lingyun district. Chinmo sat on a small stool, holding a fishing rod in his hand, and the warm sun shone directly on his face, providing him with light energy points. Limo was sitting next to him, and there were several fish in the buckets at their feet. Obviously, this afternoon has been fruitful. Suddenly, the fishing rod in Chinmo's hand trembled. This was another unlucky little fish biting the hook. He immediately cheered up, took up the line without haste, and quickly copied the fish into the net. Haha, brother, counting this one, I caught a total of 6 fishes today, just one more than you. Chinmo said happily. Hearing this, Limo turned his head, put away his fishing rod, and said, "It's still early, are you interested in playing 2 games of chess with me?" Play chess. Go or chess? Of course it's Go. Okay, I happen to know how to play Go. Chinmo readily agreed, and then the two packed up their fishing gear and moved on to the next place. After arriving at the chess and card room, he deliberately chose a well-lit place by the window. The two guessed first, and Chinmo got the upper hand. Then I won't be polite. He smiled and said to Limo, and at the same time, the sunspot in his hand also landed on a corner of the chessboard. In fact, Chinmo didn't know much about Go, he was only able to play it, and he was far from being a master. But with his current intelligence as high as 13 points, is it still a hand-in-hand to play a game of chess? Relying on his analytical ability beyond ordinary people and his powerful deduction thinking, Chinmo couldn't think of any reason for himself to lose. So, half an hour later, he simply lost. Looking at the black and white twins sitting alternately on the chessboard, Chinmo frowned slightly, scratched his head, and couldn't figure it out. Ha, little brother, you are still too young. This time, it was Limo's turn to be complacent. Looking at Chinmo's appearance, he smiled slightly and said, "Don't be discouraged, it's pretty good for you to have this level at your age." This is a very pertinent compliment, not a comforting word. You must know that Limo's level in Go has reached the peak level, and there are not many opponents in the entire imperial capital. Chinmo was able to fight him for half an hour before deciding the winner, which has proved how powerful he is, but Limo is just stronger. But this also made him feel more and more that Chinmo is really an interesting young man. After getting along for a short time, the two hit it off very well. "Hey, brother, have another dish," Chinmo said unconvinced. Hearing this, Limo nodded and said lightly, "If that's the case, then I'll abuse you again." "Brother, don't be too arrogant." Half an hour later, the battle situation came to a close again. As expected, Chinmo lost again. Limo looked at Chinmo, who was frowning tightly, and asked with a smile, "How is it? Are you convinced?" "Not convinced. You wait for me to go back tonight and look at the chess records. This is not something that can be learned by reading chess records overnight." Limo raised the corners of his mouth slightly, with a meaningful smile, and he then said, "Okay, the sun is about to set, let's go eat first." Hearing this, Chinmo raised his head and looked out the window, only to find that the sky had already darkened. At the same time, there was a surge of warmth in his body again. Light energy points. 16, freely assignable. Today I accumulated 2 points more than yesterday. Chinmo didn't think much about it, he directly took out 6 points and added it to intelligence. Intelligence. 19, awakening skills. clear at a glance. The warm current quickly surged to the brain, strengthening Chin Mo's intelligence in some unknown way. He lost to Limo twice in a row, and his mood was a little low, but now he immediately cheered up again. In particular, when Chin Mo checked out the new intelligence awakening skills, he became even more excited. It is clear at a glance, as the name suggests, you can see very clearly with just one glance, and you can gain insight into the essence of affairs. This new skill can greatly improve Chin Mo's learning, analysis and thinking abilities. After activating the skill, he can figure out all kinds of things at a very fast speed in a very short time. Moreover, because his intelligence has suddenly increased by 6 points compared to before, his deduction ability has also been greatly improved, and he can quickly calculate the next possibilities based on the knowledge he has learned. In short, Chin Mo's current brain can be called a humanoid computer. The awakening of this new skill is really just right. He seems to have seen Li Musheng's complete defeat. Looking at the smile in the corner of his eyes, Limo suddenly had a bad feeling, but although he was an extremely powerful S-rank, he didn't know what happened to Chin Mo beside him at this time. The increase of light energy points is silent, only he can perceive it. After adding 6 points to intelligence, there were still 10 light energy points left to allocate, so Chin Mo added 2 points to vision, strength, speed, and defense as usual. Immediately afterwards, he added a little each to hearing and breathing. These two attributes and recovery are relatively weak aspects of Chin Mo at present, and the focus of distribution of subsequent accumulated light energy points should be tilted appropriately to maintain a balanced development. Chin Mo is working hard to become a hexagonal fighter, and he cannot accept shortcomings. Afterwards, the two followed each other to a roadside stall for dinner. Chatting and chatting were indispensable at the dinner table, and the relationship became closer day by day. It was only when the willow branches were on the moon that Chin Mo said goodbye to Limo and walked towards his home. As he walked, he thought to himself in his heart, if you want to look through a large number of Go records, you still have to go to the Imperial Library. It seems that you have to ask for another day off tomorrow. Under the blue and purple neon lights, Chin Mo's figure gradually merged into the night. He blows the evening breeze of freedom, hums a little song of freedom, and has a free smile on the corner of his mouth. Such a peaceful day was exactly the life he wanted. Comfortable, leisurely and contented. In the morning of the next day, Chin Mo got up early. After breakfast, he ran 10 kilometers directly to the big library in the center of the imperial capital. When he arrived at the library, it happened to be opening time, and the card was just right. After entering, Chin Mo usually chose a place with good lighting by the window, and then went to the bookshelf to take out hundreds of chess records. Everyone else in the library was stunned by his actions, and countless eyes fell on him curiously, but they soon stopped paying attention to Chin Mo. Because, in their eyes, Chin Mo didn't come to read books at all, but looked more like flipping through books. It only took him half an hour to read all the hundreds of chess records. After Chin Mo's mobilization skills were clear at a glance, he read very quickly, and while he was studying the chess game and analyzing the game record, he also deduced the 2 chess games with Limo yesterday in his mind. The man he is now is completely different from the man he was yesterday. Chin Mo is confident that he can finish Limo within half an hour. After learning Go thoroughly, he put hundreds of chess books back to their original places one by one. Afterwards, he prepared to leave the Imperial Capital Library. But just as he was walking out, Chin Mo's keen eyesight suddenly caught a book on the bookshelf beside him, Building and Maintenance of Computer Network Firewall. Anyway, it's all here, why not? Last time, I didn't have permission to view the relevant information of the awakened people above D level. I might as well learn a wave of knowledge in this area and make a program to crack the management authority. With a thought, Chin Mo stopped, walked to the bookshelf and pulled out the book. While he was flipping through it quickly, the reactivation skills were clear at a glance, and he quickly learned a lot of knowledge about the firewall at a flying speed. With an intelligence of 19, Chin Mo studied and analyzed at the same time, and integrated all these things. In just 5 minutes, he finished reading a book with 364 pages. Immediately afterwards, he found more books related to the internet in the nearby bookshelves. Chin Mo is quickly becoming a top hacker. 2 hours passed like this before he strode out from the library. Now, Chin Mo needs a computer. Lingyun District, a small internet cafe. Chin Mo opened a single room, and then took less than 5 minutes to quietly take control of the internet cafe host. Immediately afterwards, his fingers tapped on the keyboard rapidly, and lines of code were displayed on the screen. The Security Bureau has a technical department, which gathers many computer geniuses, and can be said to be a very top department in the entire imperial capital. It is extremely difficult to crack their permissions secretly without being discovered by them. Therefore, Chin Mo is only going to open a very small door for himself, which is almost invisible. As for where this door leads to, it is naturally Li Yuan's authority library. In this way, with his current knowledge reserve and analytical computing ability, there is no possibility of any risk. Time passed by, and about half an hour later, Chin Mo stopped his hands, leaned on the back of the chair and let out a sigh of relief. He unplugged the USB drive and put it in his pocket, then erased all traces and turned off the main computer. There is a program made by Chin Mo in the USB flash drive, and now he only needs to wait until Li Yuan is discharged from the hospital and returns to work in the Security Bureau, then he can borrow Li Yuan's authority at the same time. I didn't expect that in less than a day, I became a Go master and a computer genius. The new skills of intellectual awakening are really powerful. Chin Mo said with emotion in his heart that the last skill, thinking like a spring, is also a very powerful skill, but it is a pity that there will be short-term sequelae after using it. He shook his head, then walked slowly home. By the time they reached the gate of Guanghong Street, the sun had just set on the hill. Chin Mo focused his eyes on the eyes, and opened the Gene Awakening panel. Eyesight, 27. Listening, 13. Intelligence, 19. Breaths, 12. Strength, 29. Speed, 23. Recovery, 12. Defense, 22. Skills, Holographic Vision Perspective, Radar, Thermal Imaging, Deliberate Punching, Instant Steps, Thoughts Like Springs, Hardening, Tortoise Breath, Rapid Healing, Fighting Cattle Across Mountains, Extreme Speed of Sound, Steel Body, all at a glance. Light Energy Points, 14. Freely assignable. Chin Mo opened the door of his house while thinking about how to allocate today's light energy points. After careful consideration, he finally decided to add 6 points to recovery, and 4 points to hearing and breathing. Hearing, 17. Awakening Skill, Ultrasound. Recovery, 18. Awakening Skill, Quickly Regain Consciousness. Seeing that both hearing and breathing reached the second threshold, Chin Mo couldn't help but be overjoyed. After closing the door, Chin Mo sat on the sofa and began to check the 2 new skills. The first is Super Sound with the awakening of the hearing attribute. The sound here refers to the speed of sound, and super sound naturally means beyond the speed of sound. You should know that it takes time for sound to propagate in the air, and the speed is generally 340 meters per second. That is to say, 2 people at a distance of 340 meters shout to each other, and the other person must pass by for a second to hear what he said. Although Chin Mo's hearing ability far surpassed that of ordinary people before, he still had to abide by this communication rule. But now it is different. His hearing will be faster than the speed of sound. For example, 2 people who are 340 meters apart shout to each other. After one of them speaks, he will hear it first before the sound is transmitted to Chin Mo's ears through the air. This time is shorter than 1 second, this is supersound. The newly awakened skills are very suitable for the limit speed of sound. With a thought, Chin Mo let go of his hearing, and the noisy sounds around him poured into his ears. He gradually eliminated useless sounds, and finally only the sound of running water flowing slowly was left more than 300 meters away. Afterwards, Chin Mo walked out of the door again, counting the time silently in his heart. The moment he heard the sound of water in his ears, he immediately activated the limit speed of sound, and the speed exploded to 300 meters per second and disappeared instantly on the spot. Dip. Answer. After a brief 2 seconds, Chin Mo returned to where he was standing. After waiting for a while, he first activated the new supersonic skill, and the sound of water flowing suddenly came from his ears. The limit speed of sound broke out again, still maintaining 300 meters per second, and after another 2 seconds, Chin Mo returned to the original place again. A faint smile slowly rose from the corner of his mouth. Although it's always 2 seconds to go back and forth, it's actually 1 second faster than the first time. It turns out that if you want to be fast, you can also enhance your hearing. Quote, after a short experiment, Chinmo had a general control over Superman, and every ability of Superman's gene was indeed extremely useful. Don't underestimate this short second and feel dispensable. This is only the sound of 300 meters away. What if it is changed to 3,000 meters, or even 30,000 meters? In many cases, time equals life. It is also very important to shorten the time for sound to pass into the ear. After looking at the skills of hearing awakening, Chinmo looked at the new skills of recovery, quick recovery. The so-called recovery is actually very simple, that is to restore the spirit. The previous skill heals quickly, allowing Chinmo to heal his wounds extremely quickly after being injured, but it can't do anything to deplete his spirit. New skills make up for this vacancy. Chinmo's intelligence is now as high as 19 points, and the speed of analysis, learning, and deduction is already extremely strong, which also makes his spirit stronger than ordinary people. But this is still not enough. After opening the holographic field of vision, it takes a lot of energy to process countless complicated information, especially after the skills are stimulated to flow like a spring. There may even be sequelae. Before, Chinmo needed to use deep sleep to maintain his depleted spirit, but now he can use the new skills he recovered. Still the same as before, Chinmo wants to test how fast the quick here is. He closed his eyes, and the holographic vision instantly released, directly covering the entire Guanghong Street where he was. Afterwards, Chinmo mobilized his thinking like a spring to further expand the scope until it reached the limit of his current ability. Within a few minutes, he felt tired. 15 minutes later, Chinmo closed his holographic vision, opened his eyes, and let out a sigh of relief. Now he looks listless, and the strong sleepiness is urging Chinmo to fall asleep quickly so that his brain can get a full rest. Chinmo held on, and then activated a new skill, quickly regaining consciousness. Suddenly, a warm current rushed in from an unknown place in his body and flowed into his brain. At this moment, Chinmo, who was leaning on the sofa, couldn't help squinting his eyes, with a look of comfort on his face, as if he had an orgasm. He only felt as if he was soaking in a hot spring with just the right temperature, and the faint warmth enveloped him, and his tiredness quickly disappeared. After waiting for 5 minutes, Chinmo shook his head with unsatisfactory feelings. This feeling is really intoxicating. He just feels refreshed now, as if he just woke up in the morning, full of energy. In 5 minutes, the speed of returning to consciousness was not even a little bit faster than the last night of deep sleep. Chinmo is very satisfied with this. The skill of thinking like a spring has changed from the previous, one time, to the current low cooldown. His sequelae are almost equivalent, completely gone. This is just the beginning. As time goes by, the cooldown will be shorter and the intelligence will be higher. Then it won't be like it is now, Chinmo said with a slight smile. As he just said, the strength of all skills is actually linked to the strength of his 8 physical attributes. The stronger the vision and hearing, the greater the range covered by the holographic vision. The stronger the power that can be mobilized by deliberate punching, so that it can exert more powerful power. In the same way, the speed of quick recovery will also become faster. After experimenting with these new skills, Chinmo hummed a ditty and went to wash up. Afterwards, he lay on the bed and swiped his mobile phone for a while, browsing the border consultation every day. Qi and Qin are still the same, with frictions and occasional firefights. Judging from the current situation, they should be in a peaceful period of war. There hasn't been any big news recently in the Great Qin Emperor's capital, and the Heaven and Earth Society is still unknown to ordinary people. What happened in the hospital last time? The news only mentioned that the power equipment was old, and the circuit short-circuited and leaked electricity, causing a small explosion. Public opinion has always been in the hands of a few. However, it is quite abnormal that the Heaven and Earth Society has been silent for so long. This mysterious force even has spiritual awakened people. It is obviously very difficult, and I am afraid that it will not just let it go. Where did it come from? And under the banner of changing the world. Isn't the current doctrine pretty good? Quote, Chinmo shook his head, not understanding, then he made a small hole on the pillow, put the back of his head in it, posed in a very comfortable position, and closed his eyes. He really felt that the current doctrine was actually pretty good. He likes this kind of life very much. Nothing to say all night. The next day was a sunny day, cloudless, and the sun was hot. As usual, Chin-mo got up early and ran to the hospital, bringing Li Yuan breakfast by the way. The next whole day is full of happy paid fishing, plus hanging out and basking in the sun. During this period, he took the time to call Limo and asked him to meet him at the chess and card hall tomorrow. He said that he had returned from his studies and would fight him for 3 more rounds. Limo on the phone smiled faintly, and then readily agreed, there is nothing wrong with it. Obviously, he didn't take the words, returning after learning, to heart. Then, until the evening, feeling the familiar warmth in his body, Chin-mo focused his eyes and opened the awakening panel. Energy points. 17, freely assignable. Chin-mo adjusted the allocation plan appropriately today. He added 2 points to each of the 4 attributes of vision, hearing, strength, and recovery. As for the remaining 9 points, 3 points were assigned to each of speed, breathing, and defense. The warm current quickly permeated the whole body, and the light energy points returned to 0 again, but new skills were also awakened. Breathing. 19, awakening skill, exhale to freeze ice. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.